Yes, we're back talking with T-Bird, and this may in fact be the biggest talking with T-Bird yet because today T-Bird has tracked down an all-timer. Of course, we all know from Survivor Borneo, Survivor All-Stars, Sue Hawk, and here's the woman who tracked her down. It's Teresa T-Bird Cooper.
I was waiting for you to date. Hey, Rob.
Yes, T-Bird, incredible. After so much time, this was somebody when we first started came up with the idea for talking with T-Bird. Who could we find? I think this was maybe one of the initial names that we started working on. And T-Bird, the amount of work you've done to get us to this day is incredible. Like that, this could be like its own podcast of your journey to get here.
So, Rob, I think when we started talking with T-Bird, this is our seventh episode, you gave me a short list of maybe 12 names, real short.
Seventh
But
year,
of what?
seventh year of talking
Seven
with T-Bird.
years,
Yes.
7 years ago of a short list. And for me, I always wanted to do people that are off the radar, that
Yeah.
are not here. So, Sue Hawk was and has been off the radar. So, I finally found or someone helped me find a mailing address for her. But Sue was moving around a lot. So I just started writing her letters. And I'd wait a few months and I'd write another letter. And then one it would come back, address not good. So I'd, send another letter. Then all of a sudden, one day in 2022, the first letter came back from Sue Hawk. And it says up here, Hawk. It's a P.O. box. I mean, I have cold chills now, this many years later, because I'd
Yeah.
started maybe 2 years prior. And that's where it started. From there, we just started letter writing. She writes letters, very much old school, old soul. When I first mentioned about the podcast, it was absolutely no. She has no interest, and I got it. I totally understood, but I really enjoyed communicating with her that it didn't matter. I was just going to keep that going. And then from there we started she texted me one day. So the last couple of years we've been texting. And then I think I mentioned again because she tells these phenomenal stories, which I'm sure you'll hear today
Hmm.
uh, from with her podcast. And then I said, Sue, if you ever want to talk with Rob and me on the podcast, she goes, oh no, I don't have any interest in that. Then all of a sudden, a couple of months ago, she said, I'm turning 65. I think I'm ready. I'm ready, to do a chat with you and Rob. So I don't know. And of course I was nervous that it might not come together because I wanted it so badly to come together. So we've got Sue Hawk today.
All right. Well, T-Bird, kudos to you. It's an incredible job, a testament to your dedication. And so we're so excited. Why don't we go ahead and bring in the great Sue Hawk? Take it away.
Picture yourself stranded on an island with 16 strangers where snakes devour rats. In 2000, 6,000 hopeful applicants applied for an adventure of a lifetime, dropped off in the jungles of Pulau Tiga, a remote Borneo island. Our guest today applied. Her audition video, a Gilligan's Island inspired rhyming theme. She was a 38-year-old truck driver from Wisconsin who described herself as motivated, resourceful, and flexible. She was tough and figured being outdoor in the bush would be a lot easier than driving a truck every day to Chicago. There was no blueprint on how to play the game, no preconceived notions. Her strategy was simple, quote, just play the role of the dumb redneck. People think rednecks are so vulnerable and dumb, they'll talk to them openly, end quote. She understood the assignment. She said the hardest part was the boredom, also challenging the sand fleas, cold rain, and the stingrays, which had stung her twice. She didn't trust anybody, but thought she had formed a real friendship with another player, saying, quote, we are like sisters, end quote. But on day 37 of 39 days, she was voted out by the one that she had trusted 100%. At the final tribal council with more than 50 million viewers, she
Yeah.
fiercely stood up with her honest, authentic, unfiltered, emotional speech comparing the final two to a rat and a snake, stating, quote, I feel we owe it to the island spirits that we have learned to come to know to let it be in the end the way Mother Nature intended it to be, for the snake to eat the rat. End quote. And so it was. She made television history, and reality TV exploded into real life. Her fiery tirade set the standard for jury speeches to follow. No surprise she would be asked back for the first Survivor All Stars in February 2004, but on day 17, feeling sexually violated during an immunity challenge, she decided she could not continue in the game. She did appearances up to 2005, but since has lived a life out of the public with her husband of close to 40 years. I introduced the smart, no nonsense, loyal, philosophical woman turning 65 on August 17th, who agreed that, quote, a happy birthday to Susan podcast, end quote, was now the perfect time for our chat. The,
Dude.
the unapologetic Sue Hawk.
Wow.
Sis, that was so good. You're so good at writing. Oh my God. Thank you very much.
Yes,
Thanks.
a beautiful
Thanks,
intro.
T-Bird.
And Sue, it's so wonderful to see you. And I'm so excited that you're here.
I am. It's wonderful to be here and with you guys. And so the story is, yeah, I left in 05. The door, you know what I mean? It was like, actually, we'll just get in that right away so we can get out of the way. When I was on Survivor 1, I was like, oh my God, I can't win this. I'm too rough for these youngsters. Okay. They're not going to like me all that much, but they'll really like Kelly. So me and Kelly actually formed an alliance way before Richard came even to us. I made the alliance. No, you didn't. We made the friendship, which is basically alliance. So we made this alliance. We'd never vote against each other. And then I even told Kelly, I said, girlfriend, I said, in the end, this is perfect. I said, we'll get Richard. It'll be me, you, and Richard. Chances are he's not going to lose the win the last challenge. We'll vote him out. Just stomp on him like a bug, and he will lose his mind. And it'll be fabulous. And I said, you're going to sit up there, and you'll win. You'll win over me, because we knew who was all going to be in the jury at that point. Well, of course, then that game is wild. It's like at the end, especially with 39 days at the end, because you all know that your mind is racing, and you're like, you got this paranoid thing going on. And Kelly got super paranoid, and Richard, of course, took her on, you know, like, oh, that's an opening for me. She was vulnerable, so he started whispering in her ear, you know, oh, Kelly, you'll do so much better with me sitting there. Blah, 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 blah. Little did Kelly know, by her burning me was the one vote that helped Richard win. And it was like, I can't believe that speech. Everything like worked out the way I said. It was so judicial. I'm on a jury. You know what I mean? I'm not a lawyer. I'm the jury. I get to say what I want. And it wasn't being a sore loser. I never thought I would win that $1 million. So it was being shafted by the friend. So then in the end, we go on the All-Stars, and we're playing, and I'm just pretty much ignoring Richard. And Richard, I don't know how come they had to learn as they go. There were a bunch of youngsters still doing a show on the All-Stars. They really were. It was still early in the thing. And how they let him just be butt-ass naked for that challenge is beyond me. And that Richard thought he had to do that to try, because he's a guy that walks in the room and's got the biggest voice and the biggest, and I'm here and everybody pay attention to me, whatever. And that happened, and they wouldn't acknowledge it at all. They wouldn't talk to me. They wouldn't do nothing. They were just like, oh, when we hit the beach the next day, oh, Richard got voted out. Like, oh, that's going to be good for her. Screw you people. I got feelings too. I got, you know what? I'm a person. Treat me like a person, not just a number on your little cardboard. And so that's why I walked away. But hindsight, I actually, in the end, squashed him with my one vote. Because, mind you, I don't have a lot of friends. I got just a handful of close friends. The older you get, the less you get, but the closer they get. But I had a lot. We had 50 million, like T-Bird said on the last show. I had super fans, super fans. You know what I mean? And I believe some of these super fans were in powers of position with the state. And all I can say is he got stomped. IRS in prison. Over with, done. Taken care of by, you got to watch you reap what you sow, buddy. And there you go. So I was like, oh my God, it couldn't have worked out better. Just, I hate to be like, I don't want to wish bad things on anybody, but my God, it was like, oh my God, you got to watch what you do. So you just, make sure when they hand you that check, right, Rob?
Right.
Make sure when they hand it,
karma.
pay your taxes.
Right.
It was pure karma. It was pure karma. Yeah. And you know what? There are no coincidences in this life. None. This is all pre-planned.
Yeah. What a Sue Hawk monologue opening everything.
So we got that off. So I got to ask now. So you guys, like, I hadn't watched Survivor then. I'm sorry. I work a lot. I like it. I'm okay with working a lot. I enjoy what I do. I'm in zone when I'm driving my truck, even if the traffic's jacked up. I'm still you got to be in zone. Anyways, I was thinking about this because I watched 49. And I was like, and I was like, oh my God, look at all these idols and this and that. And I'm like, I can't keep track of this. And then I watched 49. So then that kind of like prepped me to watch 50 because I was like, wow, 50's coming up. I gotta see, 25 years or whatever this is and see how it plays out. And then on 49, I kept turning to Tim because we would have to watch it like on the computer because they don't put it up for a couple weeks. Each episode, they like to milk it out. And I don't have I have zero paid TV. I don't watch TV. I never was a TV watcher.
Yeah.
And I only watched myself on the show once. And that was like, I'd come home Wednesdays, I couldn't watch myself live, or whatever. I'd have to, because it's summer, man. You're working. I was throwing mud. I was running concrete truck then. And it's Wisconsin. You got to get things done in the summer because come winter, you ain't doing jack. So I'd come home and Tim would record it. That was the only recording device we ever bought. And he recorded, and then we'd sit there and watch it on a Saturday or Sunday. And we'd be like, oh my God. And we'd be laughing. We'd be laughing at me because I'm nuts. I'm just like happy. But anyways, so I kept turning to him. I said, how many days are they doing this? He said, 26. I said, and I can't ever, I'm like, how many days? He said, 26. I'm like, 26 days. Oh my God. So I decided, they call this, they're going to call the new one Survivor, New Era or something.
Yep.
No.
The open
call
era.
it, softballs. Let's call it Survivor softballs because that's what they are. I'm sorry. And then all these clothes they got. Where are they getting all these clothes? And these clothes are like shirts that are like blankets, and then they're going to sleep at night with hoodies on? With hoodies? And they're whining? Jeez, look at what we went through. I mean, my God, look what Teresa went through in Africa. Oh, my God. It was just, and we, like you said, we were like the rain and the cold and the sand fleas. The sand fleas were so bad. Well, you all know about how Colleen had bug eggs in her legs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. I mean, that she had like all these bite marks and everything. Was it worse than what we saw?
Oh, it was so bad. So these things are biting us up, and then while we're sleeping, it's so bad. You're scratching your legs in your sleep, and we would literally wake up with blood all over our hands. I am not kidding you. And the doctor is like doing nothing. So then after about like 10 days of this, 10 days of pure torture, because they really affected the girls because I think the guys had more hair on their legs and thicker hair, so the sand fleas didn't bite them like that. Anyways, he finally come up and he's like, hey, I got this pill for y'all. It'll stop the itching. And it's like the size of a number 2 lead pencil head. And we're like, where were you when we really needed this? Where were you? They didn't know. They wanted, see how far they can torture the people. And then I watch now and I'm like, I got hit with that stingray. We didn't know that if you peed on your stingray hit, it would draw it out right away. Like the one chick did the guy got hit with the urchin, which is worse than a stingray, and I think her name was Kathy. Peed on it. Yeah. Peed on it, which is so smart. And I didn't. And so then I'm sitting out there getting 4 shots of penicillin and the doctor's like, hey, this ain't working that good. We're going to have to wrap you up and keep it dry because, you got 200 blood veins in your hand. If that infection goes into one of those blood veins, it's going to go immediately in brain, and we're going to have to airlift you to the hospital, and you're lucky if you'll survive. I stayed in the game. They kept me. I'm like, okay, whatever. If this is where I die, this is where I die. I'm going to die standing happy. Yeah.
So
yeah.
what was the reason why you started watching Survivor 49 after all this time?
Why I didn't watch it? Because I was just too busy, and I don't watch TV.
But why did you come back? Why did you start watching it again?
Why did I start coming back? I don't know what brought me back. I think I was getting ready for 50 because they had 49 was going to go.
Got it.
And then they already started hyping up the 50. And I'm like, I'm like, 25 years. Wow. So I'm like, yeah, I got to watch 50. I got to watch 50 because I knew they'd bring back a bunch of old players, which of course I'm watching these people. I'm like, who's this? But I had no idea on most of them. Like I had to check the stuff out after I watched them. Like, who are they? Were they, I didn't Google them that hard or figure that much out, but yeah, it was fun.
So, Sue, what did you think about Jenna being out there for 50?
When somebody made that comment, she's just standing there like a statue. I was like, I think Colby made it. Colby was so funny. He's like, she just stands there like a statue. And I was like, oh my God, that's exactly right. That's boring. Like, I don't think she should have been there. Well, I really don't.
So I'm interested. You nicknamed her Speedball in Borneo. You called her Speedball. Where did she get that nickname? Because Speedball.
Oh, Jenna Lewis. I was thinking Genevieve.
Jenna Lewis.
Right, Jenna Lewis. Well, she's exactly Jenna. She is. She's jacked up all the time. She's and doesn't think cohesively as we watched her on number one on this. Get the first one out. I mean, that's the worst. I would think. Like, you go out there and you wouldn't, that would be the one position you wouldn't want. And she's flapping her mouth right away. People nowadays, they're just so like, oh, I got to have the camera on me and I got to be saying this mouth bit and that mouth bit. And I'm going to make it. No, you're not going to make it. And you're going to make a little, but it's Hollywood. And you know what? When the first Survivor came along, and I don't blame the actors and the writers for hating us. I mean, I would have if I was in their position, I would have hated us too. I mean, we bypassed the unions, and they got this, and we're basically cheap labor for them. But everybody, they're like, oh, these people are falling in love with all these regular people, and we've worked our whole life to do what we're doing, and so even now, So I don't blame them for hating us. I was like, we ain't making it in Hollywood. We're shunned.
So take me let's start back at the very beginning when you applied. I guess the applications came out in 1999. And, right away you did your video, which was Gilligan Islands themed, which was really cute. If those, you can look at the internet and find it. What gave you that idea? I mean, did Tim help you with that? Of course, Tim is our husband.
Tim did. But see, so this application was huge, and like this house, like non-computer I am. So Tim's doing real estate, and he's not good with a computer. But the queen in the office, I forget her name. She was so sweet. I said, have her download this application from Survivor. I gave him all the information. She downloaded it. It was like, I don't know, 3 pages long. But one of the questions was, what character of Gilligan's Island are you? And I grew up watching Gilligan's Island. I mean, that was my show. It's Gilligan's Island, Leave It to Beaver, But so I was like, I turned to Tim. I said, well, I'm like everybody but the Howells, because money's money. Yeah. I'm just like, if I can pay the bills, hey, cool. And I'm healthy, better yet. I'm way ahead of anybody with a bunch of money and unhealthy. So I said, I'm like everyone. So we're doing that. So we're sitting in Tim. We had a pretty chill house then on a little lake, and we're sitting there chilling before going to bed. And I said, and he'll come up with a song. Now that he'll pull a song out of his ass. So I said, you got to come up with a song for me. for this Survivor thing. They show a little bit of that song. The song was huge and it was funny. And he said he sat there. We had a hot tub, and he was sitting in the hot tub. We had, the patio doors open. He said, I think I went to bed at like 8:00 or 8:30 because I got up at like 2:30 at that time to start the day. And he said at 11:00 he got the hook line. And once he got the hook line, he was able to write the song. So we did the song. So you can see me doing the song like I don't memorize anything. So it's on cardboard. And my eyes are flashing. I got all our mouths behind me like, hey, I'm a big fisherman, which I really am. And but then I was like, it's got to be, we're like, what's 3 minutes? We got 3 minutes. We're like, okay. I said, okay, I'll tell you what. We'll come up. I'll dress as each of those one characters. I'm in Gilligan Island. We'll write one line for it, one little line. And he wrote the lines. And I had whipped together whatever I had in the house. I didn't go buy anything special for what I had to do. And now that in the morning, we're going to tape this Saturday morning. And I worked all week, busted my balls, working 55 hours, 58 hours in 5 days, and hour home, hour back to work. So I said, okay, we're going to do the tape. And he's like, okay, I've got the tape. So he does the song, and then and he's like, hurry up. I got to go show a house. I got a house showing. So the tape wasn't even like maybe 2 minutes long. And so that night we actually taped the tape over by his boss because we had dinner over there. His aunt was a fabulous cook. She was Italian. She's so good. She's like, come over for dinner, y'all. So we took the tape and we threw it in. And Howie looked at the tape and he turned to me, he said, you're going to be a superstar. I said, shut up, Howie. And so it just went from there. And I basically, when you went out, to the green tree, it was fun. I was like, all I really wanted out of this was a vacation out of the cold, because they were like, oh, this is in March, April. Oh, it can be nasty up there in Wisconsin, March and April. And all I wanted was a vacation. And so in January, I got called out they called me like, you're coming out to California, and I was going to be out there 9 days. So I was like in the first herd that came out, and I stayed there for 9 days. It's out there on Venice, just by Venice Beach. And I'd never been to California, and I was like, well, hell, I got my vacation. I don't care, and the biggest thing I probably got. So then you're like stuck there and you're checking these people out. And I see Jenna there, and she's hanging out with her brother because she's just so, has to have somebody with her all the time. And I didn't remember who else I saw. I don't remember. I seen some other people like, oh God, I hope they don't end up if I end up on the island, I hope they're not there, because I can just tell they're just a bitch. And so we're doing that. And then so they got that final interview. Did you guys do that where at night they bring you in for the final interview, and they got all the directors and all the producers sitting around? You remember that one? Okay. So this lady that was in charge of like kind of the controller, she was like she'd tell you where to be, blah, blah, blah. And she tells me, come down to the presidential suite, this number suite, at like 9:00 at night. I'm like, okay. So I get all jacked, I'm like, ooh, 9:00 at night. I go down there, and I'm standing by the door, and up comes this little chick with like a cashmere pink sweater on, like, hey, like Miss Cheerleader, She would have been the Jenna in thing, or the Colleen. And she didn't make it on, but she comes up next to me, and this lady opens the door, and this lady did not like me. She didn't like me at all, which is fine. You don't have to like me. I don't like you either. We're working together here. This is a job. And she says to me, she goes, what are you doing here? I said, you told me to come at 9. Oh, no, that was wrong. You just go back to your room, and we'll call you when we want you. No, okay, that was the last straw. You don't treat me like a piece of dirt. Okay?
Yeah.
The way she said it. So I go back to the room, 2:00, they call me. I'm fucking pissed. Excuse me. I don't want to swear on this. I really don't. So I am mad. I am so mad. I just throw on some jeans, no shoes.
2 a.m. they call you?
2 a.m. 2 a.m. 2 a.m. now. I got a sleeveless guy's like V-neck t-shirt on. I don't care. I got my vacation. I really don't care. And you people don't impress me. I don't care who you are or how much money you are, because that's the way I've gone through life. And we sit down, and they start asking me these questions, and they could tell like I didn't care. And they're flipping out and laughing and like, oh my God. And then I was like, finally, it's like crazy. I don't know if I told them, hey, I got to go or something like that. Like I got to get out of here. And I did the same thing on the first interview that I had when I had to go up to Green Bay, Wisconsin. So the whole time I'm going to my boss. She's so sweet, and I'm still friends with them to this day. And it was a husband and wife, small business trucking company. And when I went to Green Bay, I said, I need the day off. I said, I'm gonna go apply for a part-time job. And they asked me what it was about, and they started laughing. They're like, good luck on getting that part-time job. They're so supportive. Like they treat their drivers almost like their kids. And so I go and I do the interview. I'm watching these people, and I'm kind of nervous on this. And I'm watching these people go in and out of the room. Like, bam, they go in, they're out in 5 minutes. Go in, they're out in 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I'm like, oh, geez. So I go in. I was in there, I bet you an hour. We couldn't stop laughing. They're asking me these crazy questions. And I see, not watching a lot of TV. I listen to a lot of radio. I use my own self-imagination for my life and for what I'm listening to. It's a good brain exercise anyways. So we're laughing. And I finally told them, I said, guys, I got to get out of here. You got a whole bunch of more people you got to interview, and I would kill to this day to see that interview on tape, full blown, the whole thing. It was so good and so funny. So that part of it was fun. It was fun getting, going. And then the doctor's like, oh, we did a psych test on you. I'd like to know what they said about you guys. So they do a psych test on me. He goes, you're a high school dropout and a drinker. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, you're way off. I graduated high school because my mother was mean and she made me, thank God. And I don't drink. I hate alcohol. I'm actually like allergic to it. So he was so like off the money. But the one thing he was on the money, he goes, you're like a John Wayne. And I was like, yeah, True Grit. That was a good movie. Yeah. So anyways, yeah.
Stu, do you remember if Mark Burnett, do you remember if him and Jeff Probst, I'm sure they were, but did you, I mean, at the time you wouldn't have known who they were because you were the first season, but did they stick out at all after the fact, after you got out of the island? Did you remember they were there?
Oh yeah. Well, I knew they were there, talking, because it was in the book. Mark Burnett wrote a book about the first Survivor, I believe, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I can say this. So we're sitting there. You never seen Mark. You see, actually, Mark Burnett would show up at some of the challenges and chat with the people a little bit. And I think that was just to help calm them or keep them upbeat. You know what I mean? Even though we were upbeat, we were like wild. Thank God we didn't have such a regiment schedule like they do now. Like now it's like, oh, you got tree mail. You and you go check tree mail. We're like, we'd be sitting there like bored. Okay, let's go see if there's tree mail. And they'd come back, there would be no tree mail. So but he would be there at the challenges. Jeff would come in, and if we were doing challenges and they would give us a heads up on the rules and the regs, he'd come in and talk about that. Jeff disappointed me on a couple things. Like he's like, oh, the spear is only going to be 15 yards away. So I was practicing at 15 yards. We get to the spear throwing contest. Now I never practiced throwing the spear because I didn't have to, because I could hit the bullseye at 15 yards standing there. Now it's 30 yards away. I'm like, you're a jerk. You're a jerk. Oh God. He irritated me with, not sticking to he likes to go out. He can do whatever he wants. You want to change the rules right now, you can. There's only a few rules. You can't hit anybody, you can't split money. And I don't know if there's another one, but yeah, he can change rules as he goes. Of course, we didn't know that on the first one.
Well, Sue, I thought they had changed the rules at the end. Not really changed the rules, but I thought Mark Burnett had said this is going to be just like a jury where you ask a question. And then I believe you approached Mark and said, well, I don't have a question. I just want to make a statement. And so they're kind of thinking, well, I think he changed it. And I think Jeff then said, you can either ask a question or make a statement. And so then there you were.
Yeah, I did. It was funny because you're like, so I was 37 days starved. Like these people are like freaking out if they're starved for 2 days. Anyways, I'm like 37 days. which really, I'm a low maintenance. I no matter how hard I work, my metabolism burns slow because I got a really low heart rate too, like resting rate. Like the doctors will freak out. Like if I'm going for a heart rate test, I'll actually pound my foot up and down to keep it up a little bit because I can sink it down low. And I've done it on purpose just to freak people out. I don't know why. Probably because I've been working since I was 3 years old and haven't stopped. So anyway, my dad was so funny. He's like, my allowance was this. When the work's done, you can go play. That was my allowance growing up my whole life. So, you'd work your tail off fast, so you go play. So anyways, so I'm get off. Now I had quit smoking 6 weeks prior. I've quit years ago now, y'all. I don't smoke no more. Thank God. It was like the hardest thing I ever did in my life. I think I quit 12 times before I finally quit. But so I quit smoking for 6 weeks. Because I could back then, if I wanted to quit for a while, I could quit. And it wasn't a big deal. And I quit drinking coffee because I was an avid coffee drinker back then too. I only drink like 1 or 2 cups a day now. But I went to black tea, which is not even any better. And so we get off the island and they got food. Food's like, slept that night, slept really good. Actually slept really good. And woke up and I found we were on our island. We didn't realize that we thought these were park rangers, but these were actually soldiers protecting this island because it's a hot spot. And so they had their little cabin and their big porch, because it's Malaysia, you know how that is out in the jungles. You all know that from being in the Amazon and stuff. And up on their front porch, they had their coffee pot with their coffee. And oh my God. And they put real cream in. Like this is probably so organic cream, real cream and raw sugar. They didn't eat this homogenized sugar that people eat nowadays. Ugh. So that raw sugar. So I hooked on to that coffee. It tasted like hot chocolate, I swear to God, and started smoking my Marlboro Reds. And I did that for 2 days straight.
And that was when you wrote the speech. Yeah.
Yes. And that's when I was like, I really didn't have no questions for him. I knew exactly what went down and what happened. And so I was like, give me some paper. So these guys bring back a whole pad, a whole container of paper that you put in a copy machine.
Yeah.
But I'd go off and I'd write, and people were writing, and I'd go away from everybody. I didn't care for a lot of those people. Like the ones that I ended up with the end to, I did, but I wasn't going to get tight with them. Like I really liked Greg and Colleen. Actually really liked Greg. He came off on camera one way, but if you got him on the side, he's super intelligent, super nice guy. Me and him would talk. We'd be walking to tribal council and we'd be at the back end of the line talking about cars. And because he could talk about anything and talking about cars. And that was weird because that jungle was very weird because then they're a challenge. And then we'd be way back at the far end and the people, 1 or 2 in the very front, would holler back to us. What'd you say? Did you call me? And we're like, no. And we didn't think nothing of it till there was this challenge Jeff gave about talking about the island and how it would take your name, that the spirits would take your name and actually play games with you and say your name to yourself in my head. Yes. And me and Greg were like, when that went down, we're like, holy shit, we see that happen. That stuff is real.
Sue, I never knew you liked Greg. I feel like in the clips I was watching, you would call him psychotic. And...
He was. He was. In front of the cameras, he was. But you got him away from the cameras. That's, but that was that younger. I guess some people did go out there for the cameras. I did. So I didn't get that. But no, super nice kid. Like he would have made, I don't know what he's doing now, but he should have gone into being like an herbalist. He really should have. He's so smart. He'd be like the most homeopathic rated doctor in the United States right now if that's what he went into, because he was just that. Oh yeah, the dude was his IQ is probably off the roof. Off the roof. I'm sure he was probably one of the most highest IQ people that's ever played Survivor, probably to this day. Of course, they're not going to tell you that.
No. You talked about how you wrote and you wrote and you wrote the speech and you were drinking all the coffee. How did you memorize it? It seemed like that you
Oh
just
God.
had it
Oh
like
no, I don't
down.
know. I don't know because so the long story short, I write. It's actually a full page. It's tiny, tiny writing, front and back on this paper. Okay. And I put it in my pocket. I'm like, and I'm like, it's in my pocket. I'm like, God, I can't pull this out and read it. But if you watch me, I'm very slow and you can see my head spinning. So my husband equated it to, he goes, all you did really, he goes, that was just like the final sales pitch is what you did. And probably being around him being a salesman, some of that's hooked onto me. But if you look at what I wrote, I outlined, that was a final outline. That was a final cut, was that moment. And it's probably better that way.
Yeah.
I mean, I was so, I was like, I got to cover my bases here. And it was I thought it was good. It was very judicial and knowledgeable. And these people are like, oh, she's a sore loser. No, I don't care.
Yeah.
I still really don't care about, this is how bad I don't care about. So I came home. So I'm running nights now. I lived up in Missouri for 10 years. Loved it, but the floods chased me out down between Springfield and Branson, right on a Crane Creek, man. And the floods we went through that Texas is going through now back to back. I went through that up there. Oh, Jesus Christ. Until you've been through a flood, you can't even fathom it. So, but I'm down in Missouri and I'm running line haul nights and you're running line haul nights. You're driving. This is before we had the electronic logs. We're running log books. So we run 11, 12 hours at night, driving. And I listen to a lot of, AM radio and stuff. And I got sidetracked on this. Remind me where I was going on it.
So we were talking about the speech.
Oh, yeah. 2010.
Okay.
So that night, I'm listening to East Coast because now I don't have Sirius radio and you don't have your phones with podcasts yet or anything yet.
Right.
And I come home to my husband. I said, hey, and we had the money. I said, I want to take $1,000 and I want to buy this Bitcoin.
Okay.
My husband says, no, that's stupid. And I didn't want to argue with him. And I was like, God, and it wouldn't have been easy for me to buy it because I would have had to go find somebody to figure out how to buy it. So it wouldn't have been that easy of a step, but I wanted to buy $1,000 of Bitcoin in 2010. So when it hit in 2019, I just turned to him. I said, there you go. I said, get your ass back to work. I would have been, so hindsight, so it's not like I got super mad at him. But when he brings it up, when he talks about, I'm like, don't even talk about it. Don't even go down about it. So yeah, you learn a lot. Yeah. Driving truck late at night.
Yeah, I bet. Do you realize that they've done all these lists of like the greatest moment in Survivor, and almost every single one is your speech at the end of the first Survivor is the greatest moment in Survivor history in 25 years and 50 seasons.
It will, because it was, I went into the game. There's nobody else like me.
That's
I don't
true.
want to pat myself on the back, but how many of these people were raised in government schools that had hot lunches and all this and that? I was raised in my grade school. Let's just get an idea. This way, maybe you can fathom a little bit of where I come from. My folks, we started in the city. We had the tiniest house. It was so cute. But my dad, I get a lot of this from my father too. And my father's got a weird backstory. So anyway, and my mother, they're both farm kids. They're both raised on dairy farms. So my dad's an excellent mechanic. He goes in the Korean War. He wrenches on the big old cargo planes, and he comes back. And actually, he had a friend that had a dragster he was in Hawaii, and they had his Hawaiian friend had a dragster, and they would test run it at night out on the runways. So it sounds like that's where I get my speed freak out of. But so he's working for the Ford dealership just down the road from our house. He can walk to work. He was there about 3 years. No, 3 years, maybe 4. And he's got 3 little kids at home. First three siblings were back to back to back to back. I was the third in 5, but I had 2 older brothers. And he got in a pissing match with the boss. And next thing you know, he quit his job and he went at least the old Enco station. You wouldn't probably remember that name, gas station Enco, but at least the old Enco station, and went off to work for himself. So in the meantime, then things went pretty good. He moved us out to the country. We moved out to the country, which was it was like our neighbors. I had a neighbor across the street. We weren't like miles apart, but it was cool because you knew all your neighbors. You knew all the neighbor kids, the neighbors' parents would discipline us if we were being bad. In my schools now, this is the deal. I went to 3-room classrooms. The first school was first grade, second grade, and 5th grade. They put the 5th graders there to kind of help keep the little kids, I don't know. It made sense instead of first, second, third. Well, that was about 1 mile down the road from my house. So that's where I went. And when I hit 5th grade there, I actually finally got my pony that I cried for like a month to get, because everybody else had horses. I wanted a pony. Finally got my pony. I would literally, 5th grade, ride my bike to school, because at lunch, while all the other kids were hanging out having lunch, I would jump on my bike, ride it home, check on my pony, spend like 10 minutes to eat lunch. That's probably why I'm not a foodie to this day. And then ride back to school and be back to school before the half-hour lunch was up. And then the other school was the 2nd, 3rd, and 6th grade. And that was only 3 rooms. And our library was in our classroom along the very bottom of the windows. That's where our library was. And we were taught by the neighborhood ladies. Like my third grade teacher was a sheep farmer that lived up the road. Turns out my 5th grade teacher was actually the mother to that mom and pa trucking company I went to work for. Bud's mom was Miss Jaske. I grew up in a completely, like, the last of the good days where people were, character was made and hard work was recognized, and you had to figure things out for yourself. My mom, I hope your parents did this to you. You screwed it up, you figure it out. Or I don't have time to help you, you figure it out. That was the greatest thing you could ever do for a kid. Greatest thing. So yeah, that's where I come from. So, but yeah, it's kind of cool actually. But so this is weird. And so we're talking about this. Okay, I gotta get my feet off that. Okay, so the year before we go on Survivor, okay, there's moments. I mean, I've been married 40 years, but there's times like if I could choke my husband, I would have. So he says to me, or just slapped him upside the head really hard, because it's like, what are you doing? So, and I'm sure he said the same about me. So we get married. We don't buy a house. We buy a rundown camp up in the Canadian bush, revive it. I realize the Canadian government is crazy and control freaks back then. And this is 87 to 93 that we own the camp. And it worked out great. We actually sold the camp to some Canadian kids that were like the same age as us. And to this day, they still own that camp. It was the greatest camp because it was a rare camp, because we actually owned the 3 acres the camp was on. We owned a mile up and a mile down, the mineral rights, which is kind of weird. And it had a beach. It was beautiful, beautiful camp. And they're still there, and they raise their family there. And I hope their kids take it over. So anyways, we come back 93. And we're home about a year. Now, we did all this bear hunting. I hunted 2 bears while I was up there. And after I shot my second bear, I said, I can't shoot no more bears. I'm like, because you skin a bear out. This is weird. You skin a bear out. If you skin a bear out and cut him off at the head, he looks just like a human being, like a bodybuilder. It's kind of creepy. And they're so cool, and they're so funny, and each one's got personalities. And we had to manage our own bear area. So we'd like make up names for bears in different areas, and we'd bait them accordingly, because if we knew there were mother and cubs there, we'd bait them to keep them there so they wouldn't go wandering off to somebody else's area and get shot. And we did a good job. We guaranteed a shot. We didn't overhunt. But I shot 2. I shot one with the gun, one with the bow, and I'm like, I'm done. And we come back. And Tim now, in the meantime, had all the chance in the world to hunt a bear up there. But he was always involved with the hunters. He'd take them out. It's really like he timed everything. When the hunters were coming close to coming, you took the bait in the woods about the same time you're going to take the hunter out there. So you're training the bear, to make this easier. Well, long story short, he never hunts a bear. So we come back about a year later. He says, I want to hunt a bear. I'm like, really? Why? Why didn't you hunt a bear? Well, I want to hunt a brown bear. Okay. I said, what were you thinking about? Well, he says, now remember, Russia fell in 91. Okay. So the Soviet Union dissolved. And he says, now Russia ain't been hunted all these years. The Kodiak bear and the Russian brown bear are the same species. They're coastal. They live on fish. They're huge. So Tim says, well, they're shooting. All the big ones have been shot up in Alaska. There isn't many big ones left. But Russia's wide open and they're shooting these huge brown bears there. And I'm like, okay. And then he's like, tells me how much it's going to cost. I said, okay. I said, well, let's figure it out. We started saving the money. So by 99, the money was, the trip was planned way ahead, but we knew we wouldn't. In 98, I think we put the money out for it. We saved the money for the trip. Tim to do his bear hunt. Now, none of his buddies had enough money or gumption to go over to Russia with him. So the tag along, if you take somebody along, was only like $3,500 for the Russian part of it. I'm like, okay. I said, I'll go with you. We'll just find somebody to watch the dogs. I think we moved his mom into the house while we were gone to watch the dogs. And I'll go with you. And you can go bear hunting and we'll do it. And oh my God, it was the wildest trip. I can't, dudes, they said, oh, you're going to go in with a helicopter. Once you fly from Alaska to Kamchatka. Now, the front half of the plane is passenger plane. Now, I'm on a passenger plane with guys that own like factories that make Gates belts and stuff like that. We're just a bunch of dumbass rednecks, poor kids that just save their money. So then, and the back half is actually packages and stuff like that. So we get over there. And it started out crazy ass right off the bat. Right off the bat, you go into this like building that's like a pole barn. Like I've seen nicer pole barns at horse stables. And it's only the size of like 1,500 square feet is their entry into Russia there. But there's guards there with AK-47s. I mean, these guys are serious. And so the guy told Tim, he said, when they give you all these things, what to do and what not to do, do not put your bullets in with your gun. In your gun case. Well, it's a habit. It's a habit for hunters to put their bullets in with their gun case. Yeah. If they're there, they're reading them, they're keeping dry. Tim puts his bullets in. So when they open up his gun case, his bullets are sitting there wide open. The guy, Victor, I'll never forget I don't know his last name but Victor was in charge of these hunters coming over and getting them through the customs onto the bus that would take them to the helicopter airport. Victor took the gun case, and supposedly he used to be the head of the KGB in Kamchatka. Okay, remember they just had a big ass earthquake there a year or so ago. Yeah, in Kamchatka. So Victor takes the case and slams it down on the guy's hands practically. This is good. We go. And I'm like, oh my God. So that started it. We get on the little bus and it's wild because this is 99 now. So they've had 8 years of like some semi-freedom because basically what was running them then was a mafia, which I'm fine with because, just don't piss them off. So we're going down and you see their apartment buildings are like what we consider warehouses with windows, but they're like 7 stories up, just concrete walls. Some would be painted like yellow and pink. And then some were still that Soviet green. So it was like, seeing them come out of this transformation was wild. So we get to the helicopter airport and me and Tim are like getting off the bus and we got our stuff. And this guy comes up to us and takes his arm and puts it in front of us. You guys are you're going somewhere else. And I'm like, and so I spent a year in the truck playing a tape trying to learn Russian. And I learned like 10 words in the end, but I remember Hiroshio was good, yes. So I learned, that's about all I could do. I'm not a language learner. So we're like, oh my God. So we get in the back of this little truck and their trucks, you think these trucks are little, like they're really little. So we're in the back, we're shoved in. This Russian guy, he's all he said was interpreter. We're gonna go to interpreter. So he goes to the house, he gets his package, and Tim, of course, has got going off like, oh my God, they're taking us away, they're gonna kill us, they're gonna take your passport, you're gonna go into, they're gonna make you a sex slave. And he's like freaking my brain out. So we end up at an apartment building then. Victor's daughter, who's 16, well educated, spoke English, come out of the apartment building, and she sat in the front seat next to the driver because we were in the back seat. It was like a crew cab little truck. And she started telling us what was going on. And she says, you're going to go on a snowmobile. You're going to go to a snowmobile camp, which means you're going to go over rivers. There's so much snow there in the winter. You literally go over snow bridges to get into this camp on the snowmobiles. We're like, okay. She goes, but you can't go till tomorrow because they're bringing the other hunters that were up at this camp out tomorrow. We're going to meet them back at the airport, and then your guys will go with them, and they'll take you in on the snowmobiles. But in the meantime, they didn't want to keep me in the city because it's so dangerous now because it is run by the mafia. My passport was worth like $30,000 back in 99. So they took us out, I'm not kidding you, to a brothel. And these people are so smart. They got these concrete swimming pools. Now this place it's got all these rooms, and the lady at the brothel, the head mistress, all she could say was a few words in English, but she could say University of South Carolina because she was working so hard and making such good money that she was putting her kid through college in America. You know what I mean? America still rocks. So they got this. Now we don't really, it's dark, it's at night. So we go in this room and it's wild because you got the velvet wallpaper, the lumpy bed, you got the sink that's pink, you got the toilet that's the lime green. Like these people just grab whatever they can to make things work, and they're happy with it. And we could hear the girls out in the room at night giggling and laughing and all this stuff. So then in the morning we woke up and they fed us like kings. Like I had caviar for the first time, and they were fish, and it was like wild. So then she showed me a tour of the brothel, and they had two huge concrete pools. They weren't painted, but you know how they ran this year round is because that's a fire and ice up there. They literally pumped that thermal water, the warm water from the volcanoes underground.
Yeah. Okay.
They pumped that into the pool. And what they do, so they really didn't have chemicals or anything. It was a continuous pump through. It would just keep coming through and going out, coming through and going out. So they swam in warm swimming pools when it was like 0 degrees out there in Siberia. And it was wild because then this lady, so we're hanging out all day, and she could tell we were getting bored. So she's like, she told me enough. She says, you want to go see my greenhouse? I was like, yeah, like, how do these people survive in the middle of winter? Because all they got is these little carts by the apartment buildings that would sell little provisions of food and stuff, not much. And she took me to their greenhouse, which I'm assuming now is probably a community greenhouse. They made it with 2x4s and plastic, and they were growing a lot of beets in there. They live on a lot of beets and cabbage. And because they're easy grows. They're just easy grows. And they would pump the warm water into this greenhouse to water these plants, and that would warm the greenhouse. And we walk in the greenhouse, it's like, oh my God, it's hot here. And we've had parkas and stuff on. So it's like, oh, this is wild. And this is so smart. These people are so smart. So then we're like, it's going to go back to the brothel. So, because this is like a couple miles away from the brothel. And we're in our car and we're driving in the back, and I get along with people. It's what they show on TV. I really do enjoy people. I don't care who they are or what they are. I just enjoy people. I don't care anything, what class of life they're from. I just love people and their souls and their intelligence. All of a sudden, underneath her dash, it started smoking like electric fire in the car. And we're like, oh my God, we can't drive the car no more. Now me and Tim are like freaking out because our passports are all back at the room. So if somebody stops us and we're like Americans with no passports, we're like screwed. So we walked. I never walked so fast in my life, and Tim even hoofed it. We got back, everything's cool. Her car, I asked her about her car. She's like, yeah, it's going to be okay. It's just a little wire and stuff. So then the guy comes to pick us up to take us to the airport that owns a brothel. He shows up in like this Cadillac with gold rims. I am not kidding you. He smiles and his teeth are all gold. I'm like, dude, you're making it, man. And so he takes us back to the airport. We meet up with our guides. Tim was lucky. He had 2 guides. And Tim we were hunted back in the bush. We went in on the snowmobiles. They pulled us. Their snowmobiles are weird there, like different than what we're used to. They got 1 fat ski in the front and then 2 tracks on the back. Probably because they handle better. I'm sure 1 ski handles better than 2. So then they pull us in on dog sleds. And I mean, literally, like these would be what mushers would use in Alaska that are wrapped together with the China made, no metal. It's all dog sleds. Pulls us in on dog sleds. We get to the camp. We got an interpreter who is a principal. Now, she's a principal at the high school and an English teacher, but she comes out to this camp. The Russians, everybody's like, oh, but they monitor their bear hunting very well. Yeah. They only had 21 days of it. It started in the spring and it would end on the 21st day. Well, the first, when it comes to bears, the first guys out of hibernation are the big boys. The big boars are the first ones out. So they're the ones that are going to get shot first. And then the littler guys start coming out, the younger males. And then at the very end of the hunt, when the hunt is over, is when the females come out and the cubs. So the females are hardly ever shot. And these big boars have been around long enough. They have passed their genetics on to the younger male cubs that'll be coming up. So it's not like their genetics is lost, but you're not losing your breeding pack that way. And they'd only have 2 hunts, 2 10-day hunts. So we go in and she speaks pretty good English. She was our cook too. And you know what? It's amazing what you can make we had 5 of us. She'd made soup out of 3 chicken legs and they made a sweet bread, which reminded me of a pancake, was their big staple with the bread, and lots of vegetables, beets and cabbage. So Tim's Tim's hunting with these guys, and these guys are hunters. They are hunters and trappers. And they've been guiding heart surgeons, guys that are like, oh, take me to the bear, shoot the bear for me, or let me, you know what I mean? I got to be within 50 yards. They ain't hunters. I'm sorry. Some of them might have been. There might have been a few hardcore ones. I noticed the guy that owned the belt company on the plane. I was like, I think you've been out and about too. A lot of these guys have gone on safaris, where everything's taken care of for them. Not like me and Tim, just little bush asses, just going out there, hunting rabbits whenever we could with the bow and arrow, just shoot things. So anyways, they're like excited. One was Victor, another Victor, and Sasha was the other guide's name. And they were so excited to have Tim with them hunting, really literally hunting. And these guys went out to get Tim a bear. They're like, we're going to get this guy, because it's going to be bragging rights too amongst this whole crew, because you got to remember, there's other guides out there with these other helicopter people. So this is like a community. We're, on the side, but you got to remember that. And it doesn't matter if you're in Russia or America, boys like to boast. Puff, puff, puff. So so they take Tim out hunting, and he hunted his tail off, and they're seeing some, but not in big. And May Day, and they told us on May Day, I forget what day was our last day of hunting, was like maybe the 5th of May or something. They're like, on May Day, don't plan on going out hunting, because that's a national holiday. Everybody from 8-year-old up gets drunk on potato vodka. It's just something big went down with them. So that's their national holiday. Well, these guys forgot. They took Tim hunting on May Day. And that's the day Tim shot his bear. And but in the meantime, now these guys are so excited with Tim that at one point, the one guy, I think he rode with Victor behind him on the dog sled. And then Sasha pulled the other dog sled in case they got a bear. They had a way to bring it back to camp. So Victor parked the snowmobile and forgot to set the brake and these guys they're on mountains, and Tim's in the dog sled kind of strapped in, and Tim's not the real athletic type of guy. So the sled starts falling backwards, running down the mountain backwards. Tim said, oh my God. He said, I was scared. And they freaked out. He said, these dudes, and now you're in deep snow, but they got snowshoes on. Or the other thing they used was a lot of skis. And on the bottom of their skis, they literally put seal pelts, because if you run your hand on a seal pelt and run it backwards, it's really stiff, and that would act like grabbers on the snow. So you could literally walk up a hill on skis. So these guys they shoot this bear. The bear was a phenomenal hunt for Tim. Tim shot it about 150-yard shot. It was a perfect shot. When they got to the bear was holding, but the bear, it was a sad shot for him too, because he's never hunted. He never has hunted a big game animal since, because the animal is so majestic and so powerful. He did a good shot on it. It was a perfect shot, right through the flank, came out through the armpit, took out the vitals. The bear dropped, but then the bear got up and it turned. He said, and it looked at me and he stomped his feet like, bitch, I'm still the king. And the Russians, of course, are freaking out. So they're unloading their guns on him. Little they know the bear was going to die anyways. But they got the bear. So on the way back, though, they put the bear on the thing, and they're excited because this is a big bear. It actually scored like 34th biggest bear shot in Russia at that point in 99. So because they measure the skulls. You know, they don't go by body weight or hide length or anything like it. It's all in the head. And on the way back, they ended up. Now, these guys don't really know where they're at, because they were actually on top of a volcano, because the steam is coming out of this thing through all that snow that's laying on it. And they go down and they end up going by an army camp because they were kind of lost and kind of guiding them own way. Army camp, and these guys, he said, Susie, Russian soldiers came out of the camp instantly when they heard the snowmobiles holding AK-47s again. He said, Victor and Sasha both got up on their snowmobile on one knee. They weren't right next to the camp, but puffed. He said it was like they puffed themselves up like, hey, we're out here hunting, leave us alone. But he said you could feel the tension between the two of them, even though they're both Russians. You know what I mean? It's like, dudes, what are you doing out here in this part? This is our army turf. So anyways, we made it, and we made it home. I did see, no, I actually got in with them. See, they have a lot of jackrabbits up there, which are, they're huge. They're huge jackrabbits in Siberia. But then when they were off hunting, I'd be outside. It was so nice. It was actually too nice for Siberia that time of year, and I'd be sitting on a stump reading a book and just watching we were right by a creek. Actually, I took a bath in the creek on day 5. I didn't care. I couldn't take it no more. I put on an oversized t-shirt and got wet. I seen a white wolf. I'm like, whoa, I see you over there. I see you over there. And so they come back from hunting. I'm like, hey man, I told the trooper, tell them I saw a white wolf today. And they're like, no, she didn't. She didn't see no white wolf. They don't come down this far. I'm like, okay, I know what I saw. And then a couple days later, I see it again. Now this time I go hightailing it around right where it was. And sure enough, the snow now is so soft, it's leaving tracks. It left tracks. So when they come back from hunting, I showed them. I said, dude, you got a wolf here. And they're like, oh my God, wow. It was such a greatest trip. And then Tim shot the bear. I don't drink, but that night I drunk. And Tim said he's never seen me so drunk in my life. I partied with, they called their friends from town to come out and party. And the one lady, Tim's like, couldn't get over how beautiful her teeth was. She was a teacher with the principal, and her husband was a cop in town. And we drank potato vodka, Russian champagne, and there was some moonshine somebody left back from one of the other hunters. He said, you guys are so drunk. And I didn't speak a word they spoke, and they didn't speak a word I spoke, but we partied all night long.
Wow.
It was wild. That was a year before Survivor. So going on Survivor to me,
right,
flying out there was Jack.
So Sue, that was in 1999 where you applied for Survivor.
That could be a movie.
2000, you went to audition. I know why your interview went over an hour. You started. I'm a
storyteller.
And I'm sure they thought this woman is going to be confessional gold.
Mm-hmm.
She can talk. And so. You mentioned Tim, and Rob had asked you, when you did your wonderful speech, you were telling us when Tim was listening to it, what did he tell you about that? And did he realize? I didn't tell him anything. I didn't want to take away no surprises. I was just like, because I think the finale, I don't remember, did the finale, I was actually off of work for the finale, and I had to watch it next to those people live.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I wasn't ready for that. I'm like, oh my God, they're gonna shoot spears at me after this, especially the ones that didn't see it. So I told him, I said a few things at the end. He said, I said a few things at the end, and so he said to me, he says, oh, he goes, that was great. You did a perfect final sales speech. He goes, that was good. It did surprise him because I'm sure I've ripped tongue on him a few times prior to that. I've scolded. I had 40 years.
Mhm.
Now you gotta scold the other part now and then to
Hey,
keep them in line.
so I have read that you and Tim got hitched in Vegas for $100. Tell a little
Yes.
bit. You got hitched there for $100, and you mentioned the gentleman with the gold Cadillac. Wasn't the gold Cadillac involved when y'all got married?
Oh God, this is so
Yes.
funny. This
With
is
the James,
funny.
with the
Oh, it
James
was a
Brown,
riot.
James Brown.
Yes.
Tell us.
James Brown, preacher man. So we're like, okay, we go visit Tim's dad. Tim never met his father. Tim, it was a shotgun wedding. 6 months later, Tim's dad left. Tim's mom raised him herself. That was way back then. But Tim knew his father was there. He tried to contact him like when he was 16, but his mom had put the knife in between them, and Tim's dad lived in Arizona. Tim lived in Wisconsin. So finally I was like, dude, you at least got to know your father. If he's alive, you're lucky that you can actually know who your father was. I said, there's a lot of people out here who don't even know who their father was. So we went down to Arizona to meet him, and it was great because Tim's got a lot of his attributes. Tim's really smart with math. He's like a mathematical savant, and his dad is the same way. His dad ended up, without a college degree, ended up working for a company and he was a manager of I don't know how many people on a computer that built parts for the Conquest airplane that they don't fly anymore. So that's where he came from. So, but in the meantime, Tim's dad likes to play cards just like Tim, blackjack and poker. So we're like, oh, and Tim's dad is on he wasn't good at the marriage thing. I think it was his third wife. Helen, she was really nice. She was a redneck from South Carolina, I think. And so she worked with him, and that's how they hooked up, got married. They had retired early, took their early retirement. So we drove up to Vegas together, and it was on Mother's Day, and we started to plan on a wedding because we were engaged, and I was like, I don't want nothing to do with this. It's a pain in the, behind, forget it. So we're like, we'll just elope up in Vegas, and we'll tell our parents when we come back. Yeah, we knew our parents would be mad, but my dad really wasn't mad at all. I think he was relieved. And because he had 5 kids to raise. He had still 2 younger kids at home. He didn't want to dish somebody out for a wedding. So we went $100. And I found the chapel because there was a movie going across America where a couple sells everything they have in California, buy a motorhome, and they're going to replant themselves on the East Coast. And in this movie is a Silver Bells wedding chapel because they're going to renew their vows on the way through Vegas. So that's how I was like, we got to go to Silver Bells. Okay. So that's where we went. Ernie, I'll never forget the guy that ran. His name was Ernie. He was our witness because we told Tim's dad, you can't be here. If his mom can't be here, you can't be here. And they were like, yeah, that's smart of you. And so then Ernie's like, well, I called the preacher and it's taken forever. Now we're nervous. I'm so nervous. It's taken like forever for this guy to show up. And it's like 20 minutes later. And then all of a sudden this Cadillac is so gold paint, gold rims, pulls up, and James Brown imitator preacher man walks out, and I'm like, oh my God. And Tim's like, no way. And I'm like, yeah way. I'm like, if you don't marry me now, I said, we're never getting married. And we were both like, you know what? And they put it on videotape. It was so quick and so great. And this guy was so wonderful. He was the greatest preacher ever. He's a guy that you'd like just go to Sunday church just to hear his wailing at like how you're going to go to hell because, you sinned last week and you didn't repent. And it was $100. So T-Bird. So in the meantime, after Survivor, I got to thank Survivor, got me the ticket to get out of Wisconsin in the cold weather finally. I had been wanting to get out for years, but we just couldn't find the way or the ambition or the courage to leave the homeland, And with a little extra money in our pocket, I was out on some kind of gig somewhere in New York. It was December. I came home. My Tim doesn't do heights at all. Well, it had snowed so much that winter. I had like 2 feet of snow on the roof. You had to go shovel the roof off. I'm halfway through the back half of the roof now. I'm 3/4 way through. I turned on to Tim, and he's just there as a little angel, like, protecting me in case I do fall. I said, we're moving. I said, I'm done. I can't take this no more. We're done. We're going to Vegas. So we moved to Vegas. We're not in Vegas but a couple months. And I said, we got to go revisit our Silver Barrels Wedding Chapel. We're going to go just do a drive-by. It wasn't a couple nights later. Damn if that place didn't burn down.
Oh my God.
It burned down. We never did get to go see it again. But it's funny. Vegas and the weddings is great. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better way to get hooked.
So I really want to add this in. My daughter Ellie got married about 3 years ago, Rob. Sue sent Ellie a card. And I just want to put one little part she put in the card for Ellie was this is what she said to Ellie. 40 years in worth all the work, talking about, of course, her Tim, her husband. Then she says this, quote, now remember the vows are sacred. I told my Tim when we got married, I didn't believe in divorce, but I damn well believe in murder till death do us part, end quote. Thank you for sending that to Ellie.
Oh, good. Because you know what? People just give up so easy. So we're talking about easy. Well, let's get off of me altogether now.
Oh, no.
I'm like,
we're not off of you.
The powder puffs out there now just blow them. I'm like, I don't know. I'm so disconnected because I don't do Facebook. I don't do none of that. Yeah. I just hear what I hear, and I see what I see, and it's sad. I'm like, I feel sad for you people because if something really hits the fan, you're gonna just be walking to the gates hand in hand and not questioning anything. And I just don't get it.
So I want to know, after the first season, which totally blew up with reality TV.
Yeah.
And then you did all your media. So I wanted to find out from you, of all the media you did, what was the most special? What did you enjoy the most? What was the most memorable that you did?
Oh, you know what? All the media I did was working with TV Guide. TV Guide was a wonderful crew to work with, and we had so much fun. Like, I did have, like, when I'd go back to look, like, the following week, I'd go into a studio to review what went on, like, the next day so they could air it. I had a guy, Bart, wrote for me, and me and him hooked up. Like, he was into my head, like, right off the bat. This dude was so smart. Bart was there, and then I can't think of the boss at CVS that was my handler. He ended up actually running TV Guide, I think. But they were cool. The media, I had fun. I did parades. Like, I met so many people. Like, I did a parade in Virginia. I think it was called the Apple Blossom Parade. And little Dynamite Peggy Lee, I think her name is. The singer was one of the big entourage.
Rocking around the Christmas tree, Peggy Lee? Yeah.
She was rocking it still. I mean, come on. It was all good. And I'll never forget. But this is, it's all hindsight. It's been fun to watch. They owned you after Survivor, right? Well, so you make the money in advertisement. I mean, no idiot knows that. I was like, I'd like to make a little change, so maybe I wouldn't have to bust my balls in the truck every day for the rest of my life. Well, sure enough, I had 3 big advertisement offers, and Les Moonves sitting around his little Wednesday poker table with his buddy was probably laughing like, haha, that's the last thing I'm going to let her do because we don't want to associate beer with Survivor. The other one was Wendy's. There were 2 beer companies in Wendy's.
Really?
And Wendy's didn't advertise with Survivor. So, no way we can let her do that. I love Wendy's too. When I did eat fast food, Wendy's was a choice. I haven't ate fast food for 20 years now. I quit a lot of things in 2006. I got actually in the end when Richard sent me into my darkest space in my life, and I went to Missouri into the bush, into the Ozark Hills. And in 2006, I had an epiphany one day when I'm out running my dog. Me and my dogs hung out. Like, my dogs ran free anyways because we lived so far out. there was nothing there. Like the next door neighbor was a mile away. And I had epiphany. I said, because listening so much talk radio on AM radio, I learned about Monsanto, and I'm like, oh my God, they're trying to kill us all. I'm like, and of course I had started a garden. My garden freaking blew up after that. I love gardening. Oh, with heirloom seeds. Do you garden, Teresa?
Yeah, we have not a big one. Just
Not
like,
a big one.
no, not a big one.
Do you do the heirlooms all?
No.
Oh my God, you got to do the heirloom seeds. They're so much fun because then you plant them again. It's like, oh, this is third generation seed that I raised like little babies, and they actually taste better. So, anyways, my garden blew up, and I decided that's when I really started cracking down trying to quit cigarettes. That was tough. I didn't quit till like 2010. But I'm like, I ain't eating no more fast food. I ain't eating none of their junk. I ain't ripping open no packages.
Okay, Sue, you said CBS owned you, and I know that we had a
yeah. They say I owned you, and you couldn't do anything unless they said.
But only for just a year or something, right? Wasn't it just a short time?
No. I think on the first one might have been 6 months, but they still owned Survivor Sue, to an extent. You know what I mean? They always own me.
Did you get an agent like so many people did?
Yeah, I did. I actually got an agent and she did a great job, Sherry Spillane. And she understudied under a lady, I can't think of Ruth's last name, but Ruth was the agent that found childhood actor. Wow. And brought him out of a mobile home in Florida. He was living in a mobile home in Florida. It was famous. Rudy. What was it? I can't think of it because I'm not big on TV. Brought him out, but got him the biggest contract in Hollywood at that time when he came out of hiding. Like
the actor who played Rudy.
No, he's a childhood actor that if you guys seen him, you'd know him. And he was like lost forever. And then he came back as an adult with like the biggest contract. It was a $500,000 contract at that time. But anyway, so yeah, I had an agent because how are you going to deal with that stuff? You know what I mean? You just can't.
What all were you doing? Because I know you had to have been doing all kind of stuff that they did approve.
Well, just game shows, just other game shows. Like I did Cannonball Run, and I did Dog Eat Dog, and then some celebrity stuff. But there's no lucrative and the TV Guide,
Yeah.
But there was no actual lucrative advertising thing then, like with Reebok or it's just you're only as hot as you are when you're hot, because after one, well then y'all came back with Australia, so then it's like, oh, we got some newbies we can tap into.
Let me mention this. You actually won Dog Eat Dog.
Yeah, I did.
What was Dog Eat Dog?
It was I forget. Richard was on it and a couple other reality people, I think from Fantasy Island. And it was questions, and then you had to have challenges. You had to win the challenge. And if you won the challenge, then you went on to the next stage. And there was two of us at the end. And it was crazy because you were on the end. All I remember, T-Bird, was that end challenge, standing above the water and way above the water. And you're on a little pedestal that's just on a pole. And you got to have both feet on it. Mm-hmm. And you had to balance. And I outbalanced the other girl. Barely outbalanced the other girl because I wasn't much of a balancer. But yeah, that chick that co-hosted that is a big game show co-host. Like she did the Beast show, I think.
Brooke Burns.
Yeah, Burns did that show. Yeah. Burns did that show. I was on so many. I can't. 5 years. It was 5 years. I did go 5 years and actually made a little bit of a living off of it. Made basically what I'd make driving the truck, wasn't a whole lot, but it was enough for me. You know what I mean? But then went on the All-Star and blew it. And I was like, oh no, this is, I don't need it. Go back to what I enjoy, what I know, what I'm really good at. And trucking's been, I gotta say, the trucking's been very, very good to me. It has it. And you know what? Sure, you work with your crew and your boss and you got, dispatchers and stuff like that. But a lot of times you're your own captain in your own boat, in your own space. But people don't realize how much, like when you are in your own space and you're driving a truck, you're thinking about, you can be thinking about two different things at a time. First and foremost is the traffic. After 35 years, it becomes second nature, but you never take it for granted. I hit a green light. If I go through a green light, even with my car, my husband hates driving in a car with me because I drive it like I'm driving my semi truck and drives him wild. I'm like, no, I still cover the intersection. I don't care if 3-4 cars have gone in front of me. I still, as I'm going through, the foot's off the gas, it's over the brake, and I'm covering the intersection. You can't, nothing for granted. I've seen a lot of bad accidents, man. I'll tell you what.
Did CBS, had they ever asked you back, like Heroes versus Villains? I would have for sure thought you would have been on there.
Oh, no. CBS hasn't talked to me since.
Is it hard to believe that the age that you are now, you'll be 65 tomorrow,
Yeah.
that basically is the same age that BB and Sonia were when they played with you in Borneo? Is that right?
Oh, yeah, you're right. You're right.
Actually, you are older now than they were when they played, when Sonia and BB played. Right?
Wow.
I think they were around 62 or 63. And I didn't even realize you were the same age, but you and Rich and Gretchen were all 38, 39. Y'all were basically the same age.
Yes. When we played. Yeah. Yeah, we were. Me and Rich was the same age, and we were like, wow. And Gretchen was the same age as me.
Yep, Gretchen was 38 and had.
Oh, she disappointed me so bad.
Why?
Because me and Gretchen, we hooked up on the boat that was taking us out, because on the boat it was free for all. You could talk to whoever you want. They weren't isolating us on that first one. We were on this Malaysian boat full of all this stuff with the fish traps and the survival gear. And me and Gretchen were like, we both come up to each other and we're like, hey, I know you, you know me, because we're two of a kind. And we're the same age, strong women. And Gretchen told me what she was, a survivalist from the Marine. I'm like, shit. I said, I'm a redneck hunter. I'm same darn thing as that, other than, you're surviving against whatever, Mother Nature. So we said, me and her, like, they're going to throw us off this boat. She says, yeah. I said, you see all this stuff around here? I said, we should start splitting it up. Your team, make a pile for your team. I make a pile for my team. And she's like, yeah. So me and her started splitting stuff up. Okay, one for you, one for me. And we were doing it fairly. And we were doing it so fairly. There are 3 sarongs, those things you wrap around you that they wear in Malaysia. There are 3 of them. And we're like, well, so we took it and we ripped it in half. And she got and Jenna, I'll never forget, started freaking out that we were ripping the sarong in half. And me and Gretchen are looking like, whatever. So then the crew, now they're up front, Burnett and them are on the boat, and they're seeing what's happening, and they're freaking out because they can't say anything because it's not against the rules. We only had a couple rules, and that wasn't against the rules. So they go below to have a powwow, and they come up, and Burnett comes up to me and Gretchen, like, trying to be a badass, which he did not make the bad cop. Greg Falanchian made the bad cop. Burnett's too soft. So he comes up to me and Greg, okay, you got to put all that stuff back. And me and Gretchen fit each other like, okay, yeah, right. We didn't argue. We took like a couple things, put them back, and left it at that. Like, haha, we got you. We got you. Me and Gretchen. So then when the came time to throw us off, they're lining us up and they're throwing the buffs out and showing us what teams are going to be what teams. And because of Gretchen and Susan doing what they did with the supplies, you were going to have 3 minutes to exit the boat. Now you only have 1 minute to exit the boat.
So, Sue, I was thinking.
One ear out the other on these people because we were wild. We broke loose. It was so much fun jumping off that boat. And then when I heard we had it so easy because the tide took us in to our camp, and we're dragging all this stuff that we never even used, half of it. But the other camp was fighting the tide to go in. They literally had to hook a boat to them to finish towing them in. They would have never made it. Never. They didn't think about that.
But Sue, what was the part where Gretchen disappointed you?
Oh, so then I'm looking forward to Gretchen. I'm like, I'm getting along with Kelly. What day did we merge on, Rob? You're the pro.
I would guess day 19.
Okay, day 19. So day 19, yeah, because then we got 20 days left. So halfway through, that makes sense. So then me and I've been hanging with Kelly, getting along great with her. We're building benches and we're doing all this cool stuff to make camp great. But then we're looking forward to the merge to have new people to associate with because we're getting bored with each other, which is a big part of being out there, the boredom. So they come over and us girls go hiking out right away. We get Gretchen and Jenna, and I don't know who else was left with the girl, or Colleen on their thing. But a few of us girls get out, and me and Kelly get Gretchen off to the side alone. And we're like, hey, what do you think we do a girls alliance here and take the guys out and something on that line. And Gretchen says, oh, I don't know about that. I think we should get to know everybody. Me and Kelly looked. I did get along. We looked at each other like, oh, she's dumb.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have time to get to know everybody. She is so dumb. So then that was we were so mean. Everybody hates us because we're so mean, but it was so much fun. And it was strategic. Like when the girls, I was the first one to do a liar's vote, I think. Like I told the girls I'd vote for the guy, but I vote for Sonia. Yeah, because I'm like, this is strategic. Your skin is ripping open with just something brushing up against it, which I'm big about. Like I'm 65 and I eat a lot of salmon, so my skin stays tough. Because I'm in a lot with the truck. I cut myself easy. So they had to vote her out. But then when the team came over and we're discussing who to vote out, I literally told Richard and Kelly, like, and other people that because Sean's going to vote with us because we're still a tight team. This other team might have come over, but we're not going to bond with these youngsters because Sean's actually older now at this point, and Sean's very mature in his mind too, as well. We're going to vote out Gretchen because that's like taking away their mom. That was the exact words. So when we voted her out, they collapsed. They just collapsed. Like, oh my God, run away! Nobody's gonna tell me how to do anything. No, it was like, so don't raise your kids like that. Raise your kids like you figure it out. It was wild. It was so much fun. I had so much fun.
If Gretchen had a latched on to you and Kelly, really latched on where you knew, then you would have had an all girls alliance, which would have changed.
Oh, we would have. Oh, it would change that would change everything. And I was really sad with Ramona going. Like when I heard Ramona got voted out because she couldn't eat the rice and she got sick, I was so disappointed because I liked Ramona. I'm like, she was a strong woman. Oh my God. Could you imagine had it been like Ramona, Gretchen, and me in alliance? Oh, and we would have been loyal. You know what I mean? Because we come from that generation. Now it's like, oh, none of that matters anymore. And let's all just lie and backstab and be a bunch of lazy cahoots. And there's no, it's like, I don't know. Now, like, I probably won't even watch Survivor. I don't know when the next time. I heard they got all new people on this one.
Yeah, 51 is going to be all new people.
It's about, yeah, they have to because they're aging out their bringbacks. Yeah. Because they ain't going to, Hollywood is very much, which is sad, they reflect what's going on in the world. And what's going on in the world is we take our old people and we give them a nice little cozy corner in an apartment or a nursing home to finish it up because we don't want to be there during the ugly. You know what I mean? Or during the hard, which is so sad because you learn so much. I have been with old people till the day they've died. And it's amazing to watch them. They're just, my mother-in-law was prime example of that. I actually took care of her till the day she died, and she died from brain cancer. And she hated me, but I made damn sure those last weeks where she couldn't talk, I like quit work. I actually went to my boss and said, because it was a long fight for her. She had cancer, but she was like an anomaly. She didn't get radiation, or she never got chemo, and it just kept cutting it out of her. 4 ribs here and a kidney here and part of a lung here. She never was on oxygen, and she was amazingly strong because she smoked Pall Malls for 50 years straight, Rob.
Yeah.
And when she got cancer in her lungs and they told her she had COPD, she quit. And that helped me because then I quit because I'm like, I can't. If you can quit, I can quit. And she was tough, and she lived for, I think, 10 years after her first diagnosis. And she ended up, the brain cancer, then they had to do the radiation. And she wouldn't hardly talk to me, but I kept telling her, I'm like, Jean, make sure you're good with Jesus. And she would go to church. The local church had like luncheon for seniors, and she would go there, which is great because she had in her car. Then I seen she had some religious sacrament, like things like Jesus cross and Mother Mary thing, and I'm like, oh, good. And then when the brain cancer came, they could only radiate her so much, and she hated me so much she wouldn't allow me. She didn't put me on the HIPAA. She's like, oh, she can't talk because it was a fight. It was her only son, and I took her only son, and I'm going to end up with her only son. So she was jealous that way, and she was, but whatever. They do not tell you. Then they had to stop because you can only take so much radiation. They didn't tell my husband, and I don't know if I would have known to ask this, but brain cancer doubles in size every 4 days. So this pea-sized tumor grew, bam. And then the next thing you know, I was at work on a Sunday, and Tim calls me, are you on your way? I said, yeah, I'm just getting ready to come home. He goes, I think my mom had a stroke. I said, what's it look like? And he told me. I said, oh, that was 8 o'clock this morning, because she was very much of a routine woman. This is what I did. It was the bad. So I went to work Monday, and I seen how bad it was and what was going to go down. And I turned to my boss and I said, I'm leaving. I'll see you in 2 weeks. And if you want to fire me, I don't care. I got to go take care of this woman. And then, yeah, she was 10 days. But it was great because I helped her be peaceful. It was unbelievable because these people can't talk or anything like that. But so them shunning the senior citizenship, like, really, like, do I look like, okay, Sonia and BB were the same age as me. Do I look like I'm in the same shape that Sonia and BB were in when they went on my show? No, I still kick a 20-year-old's ass. I'm doing a 20-year-old's job. I do P&D. I do pickup and delivery in the city of Las Vegas, baby. Mm-hmm. And that ain't easy. And they don't give me the easy freight either. And I'm the only chick that works with 40 guys that stuck it out for 5 years. And it ain't the guys. The guys are great. Like, the guys really are good. And we do have the one rule. If you can't get the freight off yourself, you are allowed to call and have another driver come and help. And I did have another driver come and help when we had to unload a whole playground set for some kids. And this is a playground set that's got the tree house and the swing and the sled, and it's 30 feet long and it weighs 7,000 pounds. Well, I ain't getting that off the lift gate by myself.
Yeah.
But so they're all, so it's like, no, I still, every day, and I laugh because, I'll never forget one time I ran into a driver was delivering to a warehouse I was working at in Florida, because I had to get out of the truck for a little bit because my horse hurt himself so bad that the only way, if I was going to have a chance of recouping him and bringing him back, I couldn't be working 14-hour days. I was hauling raw milk down there in Florida. I actually go to the farms and pick it up from the dairy farms and such. So I was at this auto warehouse, and this driver pulls up and he backs in and he's unloading his freight, and he's got an electric pallet jack. I'm like, because I had done P&D prior to this in Missouri. And I'm like, electric pallet jack? He goes, yeah. He goes, we got it like 3 months ago, and I already put 20 pounds on. And I started laughing because he didn't have to work no more with running up and moving it himself. So, yeah, I actually enjoy my job because it keeps me strong, keeps me mentally fit. And because I'm not done. I've got about 5 more years in the truck. I'm going to finish it out hauling what I truly love, which is horses. So I decided to combine my knowledge of horses, which that I was going to be a horse trainer. That's all I was ever going to be. I didn't need high school. Mom's like, no, you need high school. Thank God. And
goes back to the pony.
I'm going to go back to the fur babies. I'm going to haul race horses. I go back where I'm at in Florida. Yeah. We still own some property there, and go back to Florida and finish it out hauling racehorses, high end. You know, and it doesn't even matter if they're bought off the meat wagon and they're going to go to the barn to get rehab because they think they can make it. They're special and they're sacred. And I think it's just, you got to think those are live animals behind you. I still, to this day, my driving record is impeccable. Thank God, here, knock on wood, impeccable. But yeah, I want to finish. I started with the horses, actually, driving, because when I was a kid, I showed him. I had this registered quarter horse that was he was called a dun, a buckskin. Okay, and you could double register them then. So we don't have much money. I actually had to sew my own riding outfits. Believe it or not, I can sew like hellaciously. You want something sewed, I could make it from scratch. And so my mom made me do this because we couldn't afford to buy the real clothes. And me and my dad would get in Sunday morning, and when I was 13, and we're hauled the horse to these shows that had little buckskin classes, and then I'd ride them or show them and halter in that, and then I'd get points towards this buckskin championship. And after 2.5 years of doing this, I made him a champion, pleasure champion. He was so good, and he come out of an old breed called Poco Bueno, which was a great cutting horse. But my horse was laid back. He wouldn't cut a cow for the life of him. He'd be just like, let me just stand here and hang out next to him. That's good enough. And he was a great kid's horse. But when I turned 16, I got my driver's license. My dad had built this great big trailer, 2-horse trailer with a dressing room from scratch. He had tubed it out and welded it and made it all himself. We had an old 68 Chevy pickup, 3-speed on the column. And he said, okay, you're driving this morning and I'm reading the map. And that's where I started. I blame my dad for my job. Started pulling that trailer. And then actually, as I got into the horses further, and I was still in the horse business before I met Tim, I got in with hunters and jumpers, the Grand Prix guys, the guys that go to the Olympics, the Panama Games and stuff. And I worked for a set of twins out of Wisconsin. I had a beautiful farm up there. But in the winter, we go down to Florida and show January, February, and March in what they call the winter circuit. 2 weeks in West Palm, 2 weeks in like Fort Lauderdale, 2 weeks over here in Jacksonville. And so we take a ton of horses. Those two drove the semi truck with like 10 horses in it. And then I had to drive the dually old Chevy pickup truck, 6-horse trailer, but we could only put 5 because I'll never forget the one mare was so big. She had to have the middle stall all to herself. She was a big warm blood that come out of Europe, Elite. And so I drove that. So we took off. I'll never forget that trip. I'll never forget it, Rob, to this day. I'm 19, 20-ish. 20, 21 maybe. And we take off there. Everything's loaded, all the tack. You busted your balls for days getting this prep because we're moving. We're moving the barn for a while. And they get in the trailer. I'm by myself in the pickup truck. I'm going to drive it. And I'm following them. I have no clue where I'm going. There's no GPS on a phone. I might have had a map with me in case I got lost. But because I could read a map. My father made me read that map when I was 13. Where we're going today? You tell me where we're going to turn. You watch that map. And we went through the smoke. We went nonstop, 19-hour run straight through the Smoky Mountains in the fog. I'm terrified of losing their tail lights because I'm terrified of getting lost. We go to Florida. It was so much fun. I'll never forget that. That winter down there was a blast. We did really well. All of our horses showed well. I had a horse that wasn't. He was ill. Like you have grooms. I was a groom and I had 3 horses that I was assigned to. And then I had another groom that was assigned to another 3 horses. I worked for Richard, the one brother. And then there was Donald who had his horses with his customer. But this guy was sick. He come off the trailer sick. It was too long of a haul for him. There's an extent to how long a horse can be on a trailer and really. Yeah. And he got sick. He was owned by Richard's dad. He went to be sold down in Florida. So he couldn't. So I hand walked him for weeks. I'd take him out and hand walk him on the little trails around these parks. We were at these huge horse parks. Star was his name. And I basically got him back. And then I started lunging him and he's getting his juice. So I'll never forget the day. Donald says, hey, I'm gonna ride star in level 4 jump class up here, intermediate jumping class, because now they got somebody want to buy him and they think he's ready. So I go over to his grooms, who are being really mean to me now because they've been whacked out on coke for how many weeks because everybody's doing it. It's Florida in the
It's
in
the
the
80s.
what? Yeah, in the 80s. I mean,
Yeah.
they don't want to give me a saddle. They don't want to give. Donald's got 3 saddles. Oh no, we don't got a saddle for you. You're going to have to use a saddle after it gets off the horse in that jumping class. And I'm like, well, whatever. So I bridle the horse up, get everything but the saddle. We go to take him up to ring. These horses now are docile when you work with them, but when you go to equipment on them, they fire up. It took probably 30 minutes. 2 guys holding this horse by the bridle to hold him enough to get a saddle on him because he's so wired up because he's now been fucking 6 weeks of just hand walked. And I'm like, wow. The horse goes out there and literally kicks the class. He came in like 2nd or 3rd place, hadn't been in a show ring in weeks. And then they take him out, and the chick, they did end up selling him. He worked out well for him, and they were able to sell him. But it was fun. We had some really, really, really good horses. I actually had one that won then 2nd year green up in Madison Square Garden the following winter. Randy, a little old quarter horse. You wouldn't know, but there's a difference between hunters and jumpers. Jumpers basically got to make the course, don't knock nothing down, and good to time it. Hunters, when they go over a jump, got to look good. Both their front feet should be together, their ears forward, like little poppies.
Mm-hmm.
And when they're hanging their legs and stuff like that is when they're sloppy.
Dude,
But
did you ever spend much time with any cattle or goats? Because this is where I'm going. With
goats. Goats and cattle. I grew up on a dairy farm. Yeah, with the dairy farm in the summer. I love cows.
Okay, good. So you played with my guy, Big Tom, and with Rob on All Stars. Y'all were on the same tribe, I believe. Y'all all started out together, right, Rob and Big Tom?
That is true.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, we did, Rob. And we couldn't drag Tom away from Rob and Amber.
Well,
he was like hooked like an umbilical cord.
Well,
he was being dumb.
Well, I would have thought you and Big Tom, just from your background.
Oh, he hated me.
Well,
no.
Well, okay. Why? Because your background is so similar. Hardworking people work hard their whole life. I would have thought you and Big Tom, and he's very smart, by the way, just like you are. Very smart. And you both try to give off this impression that you're, like you say, a dumb redneck, but both of y'all are very intelligent. Why didn't that play out? Why didn't that work out?
Because Rob was there. We tried. How hard did we try, Rob, to pull Tom? Hold on. Let me get this phone. I don't got really a thing holding it. Okay. We tried really hard. Me, Alicia, and Rob tried really hard to pull Tom away from Rob and Amber.
Yeah, it was hard.
It was in the writing. The writing was right off the bat that those two are gonna stick together and they ain't going anywhere.
Yeah,
and Tom, for some reason, was like, "Oh no, Rob's my guy. He loves me." He does not.
That's what Lex thought that too.
Yeah.
We still see what happened to that.
Yeah, Robin.
Oh no shit.
Rob and Amber, obviously they linked up, and Big Tom was very much with Boston Rob, and then also, but Alicia I think also was like very close with Amber, so because they had already played on Survivor All Stars and or Survivor Australia, so it was very hard to come up with anything that wasn't go after one of the people that wasn't very close with Boston Rob.
It was hard. It was the way it played out. We were like, oh, well.
But T-Bird, did you ask me about what it was like to play with Sue Hawk?
Oh, God.
Okay, so I'm going to ask Rob this, because Rob, so Sue and Rob.
Yes.
I've been talking with Sue for quite a few years now.
Yes.
We've never met. There are so many things I've learned about this incredible woman that most people don't know. She's very much old school with an old soul. She writes letters. Look, we started.
Oh, I love writing letters.
Wrote letters to each other. She didn't mention this. She kind of alluded to it a little bit. She used to have no TV. She would only listen to late night
Oh,
AM
oh
radio
yeah.
for years, no
Yes.
TV. She's, considers Gen X is like the last, I think she told me the last of the badass to be born, or the
Yeah,
Gen
they
X
are.
from 1965 to 1980, works really, really hard. So now I
Oh
asked
shit.
Rob, and she's getting her camera straight.
Yeah.
So Rob,
I am. So
do,
keep it on, Teresa.
so, Rob, when most people, I want to ask you what you thought playing with Sue. I'm sure you were enamored with her when you were out there.
Yeah.
Had y'all met before when you played? And would you
No.
consider Sue a hero or a villain? Because I can tell you now, after many years with Sue, texting and letter writing, for me, she is a huge hero for so
Okay.
many reasons.
Well, there's many different
Reasons.
many different parts of that question. I will say that. So
Yes.
I will never forget the first time I ever met Sue Hawk, that she was with TB Guide, and she was out there in the Amazon to do interviews with my cast, and I was so thrilled. I think that she's the
Oh yeah.
first Survivor player I ever met in person, and so she was there to interview me, and I had a million questions for her.
We had a
And
great interview. If I
she was so
remember right, we
cool.
had a good universe, didn't we?
Yeah. I mean, I don't remember what we
There we go.
talked about, but I remembered how fun you were and how cool it was to see you there. And I was just over the moon to meet Sue Hawk. And I'm sure on a
There.
couple other occasions, I ran into Sue, like when they announced the All Stars. But then when Sue was on my tribe in Survivor, also, I was over the moon. I loved every minute that I spent with Sue. I don't have one negative
I never
moment.
had. And same to you, Rob. I loved you from the get go because I just like, why not? You're funny. You're nice. You're cordial.
Yeah,
We were both looking at each other like, oh, we're so screwed. Well, I knew I wouldn't go. Maybe if you made the merge, that was a big thing. If we could have made the merge,
maybe there was
But
nowhere else to go with that group. But Sue, I
no.
always worried that
That was a boring. Actually, in the end, that was a boring group.
Yeah. Sue, I
It
always worried
really was.
that maybe I got on your nerves. I was asking too much about
I tease
your
you. No. Because that's my thing with guys. I guess growing up around so many boys and brothers and being so involved, like I was a tomboy because I had no choice. I just learned how to razz guys. I liked razzy. I still at today's day. Some of the guys I work with, I you know what?
Yeah.
I razz them. That's what guys do to guys.
But Sue is was the hardest worker. And Sue, you know that we used to go and get like the shellfish. It's like, hey, we're out here.
Oh my God!
And we would get. I remember you would get the eyeballs. Is what?
Yes, the eyeballs, because the tides would come up and these fish would hook to the rocks. The tides would go down, and all you had to do was go out there and pick their little like shells off and boil them up, and they were. We would have never starved out on that one. Ever.
Only me and you would eat them. Everyone's like, "No, this is gross. I can't eat this."
Oh, did you get it? Did you continue eating them after I left? Then
you were there longer than me.
No, oh God, that's right. We had to take somebody out, and I was sad about you. Me and Alicia had a little thing going on the side.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever happened to Alicia? Is she still around?
I don't know. We haven't heard from her. T-Bird, write Alicia a letter. See if you can find Alicia.
I already have.
She was a bomb. Yeah, Alicia was great. She was an old soul.
Yeah,
Alicia was an old soul.
But yes, Sue, I remember we had like one of like the worst nights ever on Survivor of the like when they had like the gigantic rainstorm, and we had won the tarp and we didn't even hang it up yet, and we were all just like underneath like that hot ass tarp, like sweating, and like a torrential downpour, and the camp was starting to flood, and there was some rough nights. But yeah, you and I think that we were both that you could sleep, right? You also were a good sleeper out there.
I could sleep. I could get some sleep. Yeah.
We both could sleep. Like, I think that everybody else kind of was like, had a lot of more complaints about the conditions.
Yeah, it wasn't comfortable. That's why, like now, I can't imagine. So how many shots did you all have to take to go to your location, say in Africa or down there in
I remember
Amazon?
A bunch for
Amazon. Amazon was a bunch because I almost went. I interviewed you all before you went. down to the Amazon. TV Guide was going to go to the Amazon. I don't know what happened. That part of it got pulled, like where I had gone to Thailand and been right there at Thailand, covering it for the first couple days. So I remember Amazon. I'm like, oh my God, meningitis, yellow fever, all these immunizations you had to get to travel. And I can't, it's got to be the same thing over there in Africa, wasn't it, T-Bird?
It was. Yeah. I don't remember how many shots, but I want to say quite a few, maybe a lot. It was a lot.
Yeah. Did you? Yeah.
Wait, I got it. I'm glad y'all slept good, Rob, and everything, but this is where I want to go. So, Sue, you knew probably all of the all-star players because you had interviewed them for TV Guide.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, Rob, when you hit the ground there, y'all knew the game. Did y'all start talking alliances, or were y'all just talking about collecting starfish or whatever y'all were talking about?
I don't know. I feel like that, honestly, I really feel like that there wasn't a lot of Survivor being played. Nobody really was talking too much about alliance.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. That wasn't.
Rob and Amber are together, and it was like, who can get closest to Rob and Amber? That was kind of the whole game at that point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because Amber, they didn't have.
Well, see,
until they were
but the point. Yeah, but the point was then before, like, who was on with us? We had Alicia, Tom,
me, you, Rob, and Amber. Me. That was it.
That was it. See, yeah, me, you, Rob, and Amber. It was 3 against 3. And we couldn't get enough votes with 3 of us to get those guys out. And I believe wasn't Rob Boston was in shape back then. So he was.
What are you saying, Sue?
I kind of seen like a video on him. Like here riding a horse, and I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Look, is he 55? He's only 55?
I think he's younger than that.
Oh, no way. Yeah. Oh my God. Oh my God. Married life is too
I think
easy
he just
for
turned
him.
50. I think, yeah.
Oh, no way. Oh, Jesus Christ. These people. What
but
the
him
heck?
and Amber, they're still together. Me and Sue saw it happen in real life. We saw it we saw the whole courtship.
Yep. They're still together. They got kids. They're doing the family thing. Yeah. We were together. To keep it going.
We were together. You know, it was 12 days in the game that I was there, but we were together for like a week before the game even started. When we were living at the house in Panama.
Yes. What do they call? Yeah, the house in Panama. Yeah, we were there, but we really weren't allowed to talk to each other. But we, you know.
Yeah, there was talk. People talk.
Yeah, can you remember? Yeah, I remember that. I was like, holy shit, they got us here for how many 5 days to prep us to go out there? And then the funny thing about that was, remember, so the water, because we're by ocean, so we can't, it's not like we can go to a river and boil water, which I feel bad for T-Bird and those guys in Africa. That was brutal. That was bullshit, really, because I can't believe that crew was that stupid to set them up there. So anyways, we go to get the water. I think they're like, oh, you got to boil. Remember they had that powwow at the house? You got to boil your water for this many minutes before you drink it.
Yeah.
Of course, I don't listen to authority. I don't know. No. I'm like, really? I'm like, oh my God, I spent 6 years drinking beaver poop up in the Canadian bush. Yeah. I think my body's, oh, and as a kid, I was drinking out of the water. T-Bird, you don't know this with cows and goats. As kids, we ran around out in the farm, but when we got thirsty, we stuck our head in the moss-laden cow trough to drink our water. Right out of the trough. We didn't care. So the water's there. Yeah. T-Bird, this is so funny. And then I'm like, this is boiling the water? Screw that. I'm thirsty. I want to drink it when I want to drink it.
Yeah.
So I went to get water. I put it in there, and I took a big guzzle out of it right then and there. And it wasn't, about half hour later, I'm on the beach, and the doctor comes by and looking at me like he's looking at me like, why'd you do that? Yeah. I said, because I'm not going to get sick. And I never did get sick.
Yeah, you and Rudy, you both did it, and you were fine. Yeah, it was also that we didn't have fire. That was like a big thing, that we didn't have that we didn't have any fire, and we couldn't boil the water, and we couldn't drink, and so it was like 4 days that we didn't have any clean water. And then Sue, I guess smartly said, I'm just gonna drink it out of the well. Yeah, it's like they put it in there, right?
Those people and those scaredy cats, Rob and Amber, kept boiling the water probably through the whole show.
I mean, probably.
Yeah.
So Rob, y'all, the 5 days ahead on All Stars, Sue and Rob, did y'all train with the locals? We trained with the Maasai.
No.
Okay.
No.
So Sue, when you were in Borneo, did you train with any of the locals for fire or
No.
hunting? Or no, you didn't do that.
No. We had
You
no.
didn't do that.
Yeah,
They
Borneo
did
was
in the
wild.
Amazon. Yeah.
They did in the Amazon. Well, they should have, because that's a
Mhm.
whole different. I mean, starting fire, with dry wood is one thing. Starting fire with the dampness that you have in the jungle
Mhm.
constantly. I mean, it's like you're a mushroom.
So, Rob, you didn't
Yeah.
tell me. Sue, villain, hero, or a villain?
Yeah. So I think in real life, I think Sue's a hero, but I think in terms of what Survivor would call a
Yeah.
villain, because Sue speaks her mind and isn't
People
necessarily,
can't handle that.
she's gonna say the truth whether you like it or not. I think on Survivor that constitutes a villain.
Okay. So,
Yes.
Sue, from your playing in Borneo being, well, amazing, to
Mhm.
what happened to you in All Stars, did you notice any shift in your fan mail or how people reacted to you from your
No,
fourth coming
no, because
All Stars?
I yeah, no, I didn't. I had fan mail. Yeah, I actually had some great fans. Like I said, I got super fans, probably in the IRS.
So they
But
stayed loyal. They stayed loyal to you through.
yes, for
Okay.
the whole thing, they did, and but then I just walked away. I walked away. I don't, and I kept moving. Reason I kept moving actually was to lose trail. And it took a while. It took a while. They pegged me. I went from Vegas to Tucson to Missouri to Florida, now here, and I'm gonna
Yeah.
move again.
Yeah,
I
I know,
just
Sue. You're hard to find, Sue. I know. You were hard to find. You're hard to track. Sue,
yeah.
so
That's
when you were moving around, just when you were moving around like that, were you I know the answer to this, I'm pretty sure. Were you recognized by people?
oh oh
And still now, and still today.
yes, yes, very, not so much now, because I basically just work. But I'm trying to think of any of the guys I drop and pick up at. No, but I do I had a guy here. Oh my God. I had to go to TSA. When you got hazmat, you got to go every 4 years. You get your fingerprints rerun. I don't know why. You got me on file. If I did anything, you'd show up. So
Yeah.
I'm at the TSA office, and like one of the guys that's in charge of it comes out and he looks at me. Hold on, I got a drink. And he looks at me and he says, "You're the survivor." I said, "Yeah." He says, "Oh," he goes, "I recognize you." He goes, "Because he went to church with Kelly Wiggleworth's attorney." Well, I don't know what
Okay.
she had an attorney for. He said, so that's why he goes, "I'm very aware of," and I'm assuming because I'm, Mormons out here. So Kelly Wigglesworth attorney. And I was like, "Oh, that's cool." He goes, "But my voice can give me away if people are
Sure.
thinking, but most people don't, because most people got short-term memory. They really do. Even though, and I don't look the same. I'm built the same.
Mhm.
I ain't changing that. But I got more wrinkles on my face. My hair's straighter now, especially when you're in the heat in the desert. It doesn't get the curly anymore. Yeah. So, but I
Yeah.
do get recognized. I've been recognized on the street where people literally come up and just hug me. "Oh my God, I love you." And that has been within the last, say, 4 years.
So
But I don't go out and about much on crowds.
yeah. So after I got voted out on Survivor All Stars, I spent a lot of time outside of the game with Rudy, and that was really such a fun part of that experience. I spent about 3 weeks with Rudy, and I know that you were both fond of each other. Did you have a favorite Rudy memory from your time with him?
Oh, I do. That is the greatest question ever. The best memory I have of Rudy, the game had just started. BB was still in there. There might have been one tribal where somebody went, but I don't remember who anyways, I think Sonia was the first one voted out on ours, right?
Hmm. Sure.
Okay. So they're doing this challenge, and the position that BB and Rudy had identical positions on the game. And they were standing about 12 feet apart on a platform, and there was air between them because they were about 10 feet above the water. I don't know what happened, but BB said something, or I think BB said something, or just something, and I seen Rudy go into action, because Rudy was like, he was a soldier, but he was a soldier for his team. This is a guy tied to the team. This dude, Rudy, puffs up, like this. Like, oh, and we're like, oh my God. We're like, all of us other ones are like, they're going to go at it. They're going to go at it. Rudy's going to kick beating his ass. We're doing that. And they actually, the producer had to step in and calm the situation down because Rudy wanted to kick his butt for saying something or going after his team.
Wow.
Because, yo, he
Can
was
you imagine?
he was so cool. He was so fun. He was so fun having Rudy. Like, the only thing I want is a salami sandwich.
Mhm.
That's all he'd ever wanted to eat. He's like, I'd be okay with just a salami sandwich. And then me and him, believe it or not, have matching tattoos.
Oh,
The one and only tattoo I have on my back that I got when I was 18, because I didn't want a rose, was a panther crawling down. Well, Rudy had the same panther on his calf climbing up.
yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's wild. That is
Mhm.
just wild.
Well, that should have bought. So, Sue, when you were asking, when you had the tie vote with Rich, and you said, Rudy, you know me, you should, do whatever you want to do. That's when you should have brought that
No, no, no,
tattoo
no, no, no,
up.
no.
Look, we have
No,
matching
no, no.
tattoos. Rudy.
Rudy, no. Rudy was being soldiered by Richard.
He's loyal.
He was loyal, and I knew that. And I don't blame him. That's the man he is. He was a loyalty actually stuck around back then. Now it's like really, I don't know. It's so back and forth, deceptive, and blah, 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 blah. Oh, talking about. And then I had a blow. What blew my mind on 51 was Ozzy. I never watched Ozzy in any of his seasons, but I heard, you'd hear stuff over the years with this Ozzy guy. And he goes on, and I'm like, who the hell wears a mullet in 2026? I'm like, this dude, So that was the first thing. And then when he had the dream,
Yeah.
getting voted off the idol, I'm like, did you not follow your intuition? He is a shallow soul. He is a young, weak soul, is what he is. And then so he does that. He doesn't use his idol. And then I'm like, I would have never spilled to anybody. I'm like, I might be truthful, but I'm not going to tell you the truth about what's going on behind the scenes with me, Kelly, Richard, and Rudy. Hell no.
Mm-hmm.
Except I told Sean at the end, I was like, God, Sean, wish there was some way to keep you. I really did. I wanted to keep Sean then and get Kelly out. I didn't care at that point. Then my vipers were on Kelly, not so much Richard anymore. And there was no way. There was just no way. We tried, we did. When Colleen left, we knew it was over with, because that would have been a voting block.
So did you and Kelly ever patch things up over the years?
Well, we talked after it like human beings, we were cordial to each other, but no, she hates me.
Yeah.
But I wish her all the best, whatever, went on. I know she went and played another year.
She did.
She played another season.
Yeah, she played on Survivor 31. She played, and
cool. Where was that at?
It was in Cambodia. It was Survivor Second
Chances.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah. That would have been a cool trip.
It would have been.
That would have been a cool. Yeah. Yeah, that would have been a wild trip. Oh yeah.
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 But
so we haven't passed it. I don't even know where. And then so yeah. She always was a kind of a quiet girl, though. She was a quiet girl. She liked to laugh and she liked to build things.
Yeah.
She did. She was very, but she was only 24, but she was older than 24 internally, more so older than the 24s you see nowadays.
Sure.
She had grown up fast, I'm sure. But yeah, no, I haven't paid. I did talk to Sean. I think about, how many years ago now? 7, 8 years ago.
Yeah.
When I moved down to Florida, I called Sean, and it was so great to talk to him. It was like a day hadn't passed between us. I love Sean like a brother. Mm-hmm. I love Sean, and he's doing so well. He finally grew up. I teased him. I said, "You finally grew up." I mean, these dudes, like, he's down in Miami. He's like he's on the board of like 2 big fat hospitals, and he's doing his neurologist thing, I'm sure, on the side, which is amazing because we absolutely know like a minute part about how the brain actually operates. And I'm sure to this day, Sean is trying to educate himself and figure it out.
Yeah.
And he's got a couple little girls. He's got a couple little girls. They're just gorgeous, and he still had his New York accent, thank God. I hope he never loses that.
How did you like his alphabet strategy voting?
Oh, that's funny. He's a brilliant guy because he's such a nice guy. That was his way of doing it. And that would work for him. He was there. I'll never forget. We actually built a bowling alley because of
Yeah.
Sean on our beach. It was great. And that was all Sean's idea. And then he made the idea. And of course, then we implemented cutting the bamboos a certain time and do bowling alley. And then one day, Sean, I don't know how many of us were sitting there, quite a few, might have been 5 or 6 of us sitting around him. And Richard was probably off fishing because Richard didn't like to spend a lot of time with the camp because he was just into himself. So Sean told us about a book he wrote. He told us a story of his whole book, and we're all sitting there memorizing. It was about a cop and investigations and action. And we're like, Sean, when you get off the island, you need to write that book, because we would buy it and
Yeah.
actually read it and be enthralled with it. So I don't know if he ever wrote the book or not. It was amazing hours spent with him. Yeah, I teased him all the time because he was a bit of a doofus, the alphabet theory, because he was a doofus because he was so nice.
Yeah.
So, speaking of writing books, Rob is a #1 best-selling New York, what is it, New York Times writer.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't say #1.
Well,
But
you are,
yeah,
You can lie. I wouldn't know.
yeah.
and you're
Yeah.
you're in the book, Sue. You are in the book. There
Yeah,
it
I
is,
did.
right
I wrote a
behind.
book about the history of Survivor, Sue.
Oh, did
And
you? They let you do that?
yes, and yeah, and of course, how could we write a book about the history of Survivor and not talk about Sue
Without the
Hall?
#1, the #1 moment. And I gave them their show.
Yeah,
I gave
Yes,
them
you
their
did.
show.
But Sue,
I
you
didn't mean to. I didn't mean to. It was, between you're like you say, you're starved. Your awareness is all heightened. Your emotions are heightened. Why do you think yogis fast? Because they can get to the next level. And
Yeah.
and actually, us at the end on 39 days, anybody that's there after 32 days, you are at the next level. You are working in a world you have no idea that you've ever been in, unless you've done DMT or whatever, all these other dope.
Yeah.
You never done that, between that and then being like, I couldn't hit them. God, if I could just gone up and slapped them each, I'd been fine. But I couldn't hit them.
different show.
So
Yeah.
I decided, yeah, I'm gonna lash you with my tongue. I get that lashing probably. My dad was so nice and so smart, such a good auto mechanic and father but my mother, thank God, she was a bad cop in the family, and she's very cynical of people and even her own kids. And so I suppose part of that cynicism is buried in me, and doesn't come up much. But when it does, oh boy, I am. So I called it, as a bitch, but the bitch stands for babe in total control of herself. So yeah, I had to, and I felt good. I felt relieved. It took the load off of me, and I was done with it. I didn't care what happened then. And I was like, yeah, I'm sure all these people are going to hate me, and they did. All those youngsters were like, oh my God, how could you say that? Oh my God, how could you say that? Well, get real, because you're going to get in a job someday and somebody's going to tell you something you ain't going to like. So maybe I gave you a warmer upper.
So, Sue, you're such a storyteller. Just today, all the stories.
Yeah.
Book, you could write a book. It would be fascinating.
It's just, I can't. I can tell a story verbally, but to sit there and write, I probably get too worried about details.
Mhm.
And then, like, what are you going to write about? Like, it's like, I'm still going. My story's still going. So maybe in the end, because like I said, I'm hoping I'll go back here in 6 months to Florida, which is the plan. The plan's working out great. Actually, we jumped a year ahead. Thank God things are working out. His hand will come down and I'll get little favors. I'll never get the big favor, like a big hunk out, like a winning lottery ticket or anything, which is fine. But I get little favors, and I get them every day, and I thank God for them. It's just stupid stuff with the truck. Like, oh, thank God you had that truck wasn't parked where it was when I got in here, because I'd never been able to back in and stuff like that. But little favors over a year ahead, that's just wonderful because I'll get with the horses and the fur babies, and I'll probably never stop working. Everybody's, oh, you got to retire. No, I don't.
You did Live with Regis. So you've talked to and interviewed and met a whole lot of people. I wanted to know the most fascinating person that you've met through your whole experience with Survivor. And I was also curious, you actually interviewed President Bush, right?
On Survivor. On Regis.
So,
Yeah.
Regis,
So I didn't even know. Yeah. On
who was your
Regis.
most fascinating person that you met with all your Survivor experience?
Oh, I'll tell you. And people will probably like, oh, I hate her. Bush thing was really cool. They prepped me. They think he was a nice guy, but I could care less because he's a Bush. But
yeah,
but it was funny because I asked.
He was a candidate Bush then.
Right? He was candidate Bush.
It was like
I was more.
Summer of 2000.
Yeah, I'm in there doing makeup, and all of a sudden these German Shepherds are coming in. I was more enthralled with the dogs and the guy, the candidate.
Mm-hmm.
So I had made up because they gave me some information on him like the night before. So I was like, okay, I'm going to ask him 2 questions. Because I was like, I know you ain't going to get a bunch of time. So I asked him 2 questions because they showed the picture of him and his pony. I'm like, do you remember that pony's name? And he remembered that pony's name. Anybody who has a horse always remembers their first pony's name. Mine was named Sugar. God, I love that horse. I bawled when my mom made me sell her finally. Oh, it just killed me. But then the other question was prudent because I try to play dumb redneck, but I'm really not. I actually study history, old history, repeated history. And I'm like, oh, Bush is talking about letting us take 10% of what we put into Social Security into a separate savings, which he really wanted to do. But of course, Congress won't let him because then that would take away from their honeypot of the Social Security. Yeah. So it never happened. Had he back in, what year did he win?
2000.
That was 2000. Had he back in 2000, say 2002, they would have got it implemented.
Yeah.
Me, you, T-Bird would have been able to put 10% into the fake stock market. Who cares? It's doing good.
Yeah.
We would have been like banked. Mm-hmm. We would have been banked. You know what I mean? And everybody's setting good, but they wouldn't let it happen. And he wanted to though. So I give him credit for that. But the most interesting person I met was probably Rosie O'Donnell and Donald Trump. Okay. Yeah, Rosie is a very like me. She's very in your face, very honest, very to the point. Loved Rosie. Not that she gave me a car or anything. She's just, her energy is great. Okay.
Yeah.
So then she gives us that trip to go to Australia, a bunch of us. So I go to Australia with Tim. That was wild. That was fun. But now, as I'm going to go on the trip, I'm forced to actually cut the trip 2 days short because she was interviewed. She did the finale show. The only time Jeff gave up the crown, the finale show, to do it in Central Park in New York. And it was to show, strongness after 9/11. Like, hey, you're not knocking us down. We're not stopping. So they did. That was the first event done in Central Park after 9/11. And it was done live. And Rosie's like, I want you here. I want you to be with me on the start because I want to do B-roll with you. I'm like, oh my God, how can I turn her down? She gave me the car. She gave me the trip. And I'm like jet lagged. And we go to Central Park and they put it, it was nice. They put me up in like one of those things you can look out on it.
Yeah.
And so a room. And so we go to do it. And I go to meet her. I'm in her room, her dressing room for maybe a minute and a half. We talk about what we're going to do. Minute and a half. This chick knows what's on. And she goes, we're going to do like a wrestling thing. And so now everybody's got assigned seats. Okay. At Central Park, it was cold. The sun's going down. I wasn't thinking. I didn't have a jacket. I only had on a little short sleeve shirt. It was cold, sheer material. Everybody's sitting, got assigned seats. Well, right 5th row back about was Donald Trump and and his wife. What's her name now?
Melania.
And there's 2 empty seats next to him. Well, that's me and Tim's seat. Okay.
So I do the B-roll. I'm not thinking about this as I'm doing B-roll with Roll. We do the B-roll, and I could feel it. When you do something, not that I'm a camera whore, but I did enough in front of the camera. When I do something in front of the camera, I know it's
You
good.
know.
You can
Yeah.
feel it. You feel it. You feel it through your whole body. So I did this with Rosie. I'm like, oh my God, that was awesome. That was good. She got her shot. This is going to be great. I go sit out in the audience with Tim next to Don. I sat next to Melania, and then Donald Trump sat next to Melania's right side. I sat and Tim sat to my left side. I am freezing. Well, now Donald had given his overcoat to Melania because she's cold. He sees I'm cold. He gives me his suit jacket
Wow.
to wear for the whole show. I didn't say much. I didn't say, but thank you. He's like, here. And I'm like, I'm going to accept it because I'm dying. And this is great. And he's a guy that's tough enough. He's got longer sleeves than me. So good. And let me wear his jacket. And after it was over with, I returned it to him and said, thank you very much, Mr. Trump. And that was it. But yeah, Rosie, and it's too bad they got in a pissing match.
Yeah, maybe you can feel the rift.
They're two of a kind, you know. It was good. Everybody, yeah, but yeah, it was wild. Chuck Norris, I met Chuck Norris.
Oh.
Yeah, because so Les Moonves, who I absolutely would, like he didn't know when he'd meet me that anything I said to him was basically a dig on him because he was pretty much at those after parties. He was pretty much on a buzz by the time he met you. You know what I mean? Cockeyed up a little bit on the liquor, and he's like, "Come on, I gotta meet you somebody." I'm like, "Okay." So he goes to meet me Chuck Norris, which of course I wasn't. I liked Chuck. Chuck was just. I only met him for a couple minutes, but the nicest guy ever.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was funny. It was funny. Like he had dragged me halfway across the thing to go meet his buddy Chuck, and then I was like, yeah, that's bomb because I'm like a Bruce Lee fan. Those kind of people that do that jiu-jitsu and the karate, I have so much respect for them. So much respect. Boxers I have ultimate respect for because remember me and Kelly were going to get in the ring and box the hell out of each other.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, they were going to do it. Boxers are going to do it. So they set us up. She's in California at the time. I'm over here in Vegas because it was early 2000s. And baseball was going to go on strike, Okay. And they were doing those boxing matches. Remember the Partridge Kid against the Brady Kid?
Okay.
Boxing match. Yeah. So they were setting me and Kelly up for a boxing match. They gave us trainers, and literally we both fell into training like we were going to be pro boxers. And in the meantime, I could do it because I had the juice shop, okay, the smoothie shop, so I could fluctuate my schedule. And you train, oh my God, you train like 3 times a day, 4 days a week, and then 2 times a day, 2 days a week, and then 1 time a day, 1 day a week, something like that. But the morning was a couple mile run. And then in the afternoon, you might go to the gym and spar and then take a rest. And then after that, go to the gym and pump iron. And this is on and on. When I first started, my thighs were I could hardly walk or sit down. I was so sore. And after doing that, and we did it for like 6 months. We were like eating and going to be boxers, did it for 6 months. And then they called it off because baseball ended the strike. I guess, Kelly, I heard this is funny. Somebody told me that was at my training gym, was in the same gym out in LA, because that's how these guys roll. In LA where Kelly was training, and Kelly had a big picture of me up on the heavy bag.
Yeah.
So, Sue.
Oh, good for you.
I'm ask Sue this. So, Sue,
yeah.
I heard you say that this is a quote. Me and Kelly don't belong in Playboy because we've got tattoos. We belong in Hustler. And I heard Larry Flint pays more. End quote.
Oh my God, that was just me being a smart ass.
Yeah. So yeah. All right. So why were tweezers your luxury item? Tweezers.
Oh, because I was worried about like hair. I'm 38. And I was worried about having like freaking, having the eyebrows like come together. Okay. So like that was the only thing in the TV thing land I didn't want. It was like, oh God, I don't have my eyebrows. So I take them and I just be like, randomly talking to somebody. We'd be just fucking away.
Yeah.
But they came in handy because we actually pulled some tweezers. We used them to pull slivers out of people and stuff.
Yeah.
So they came in handy. I mean, you couldn't have anything useful. They ain't gonna let you bring anything useful. This just had to be stupid.
All right, so Sue, one word to describe Jeff Probst.
Jeff Probst. Oh my God! Now, one word. After I see him now, all I can say is one word: Botox. I'm sorry.
I don't
It's
think we've
creepy.
done that before. I don't think we've
It's
done
creepy.
that, have we, Rob?
Yeah. I think
No,
you and
it's
Jeff
creepy.
are pretty, I think, pretty close to the same age.
Are we really?
I think so.
Oh, I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't keep track, but
Yeah.
yeah.
think
Poor
you're
guy.
right.
You know, maybe I think I heard. I seen a snippet somewhere where they're thinking the next crew coming in on 51. There's going to be somebody in it that's going to have a chance to replace Jeff's seat.
He said that you're very tapped in, Sue. He said there's somebody in this new season that he could see replacing him. Yes. And
Oh yeah.
So
He's
Jeff's
starting
birthday,
he's starting to psych himself out to finally step down, which would be good. When's his birthday?
so his birthday is November 4th, but he is November 4th, 1961.
Oh, same year as me.
Yeah.
We're the
I'm
same
just a little
age.
bit older, right? Same age. I'm just a little bit older
Yeah.
by months.
All right,
Yeah.
so Sue, I know I could talk to you for
I
hours.
know.
and
I can
hours
talk with you, Teresa, because
And
how is that grandbaby?
and
How is
hours.
that? How's that grandbaby?
He's great. Thank you so much for asking, Sue. All right, Rob. Sue, talking to you today has been a highlight. However, hold on. Yes.
Oh my God.
All right.
So yeah, well, we'll see you probably. We'll do it at 5 when I retire out of the truck. We'll hook back up.
Okay.
Sounds good.
So,
And I promise you, I
yeah.
will have no Botox
So,
in my
Sue-
face.
Sue, what do you or T-Bird, what are you doing? You've opened the bottle of champagne?
Absolutely. This
Yes.
is
Oh my God.
Yes.
Good for you.
Yes. So, Sue, get your glass. Rob, get your glass.
Yeah, I only have
Raise the
potato vodka.
Get your potato.
Oh no,
Right.
that's a nasty.
Yeah.
No
All right.
way.
Sue, here's to 65 years of living life on your own terms. Thanks for showing us what it means to play with heart and passion, and that you don't have to win to be legendary. May your torch burn bright through all your adventures in the years to come. To
Oh,
Sue.
Teresa, you're so nice. You make me want to cry. I love you, Teresa. I love you. Hey,
Yeah.
thanks for. And now this is good though, because now Teresa can finally get off my ass because she's been bugging me for 4 years. She's been through a lot with me. She knows things about me that we won't even cover here.
Well, actually, more years than that. It's probably been almost 6 years, and then
Has it really
and
been?
Well, it's
my
worth
husband,
it.
My husband will remember the day I came in with this letter. Where'd I put it? It's here. It's here. I'm like, baby, you're not going to believe this. Look, because you had your little name up there in the return address. So anyway, Sue, it has been such a pleasure. And Rob, this is the last thing one of the things that Sue had written in her letters, where she's very old soul. But she wrote this, and I've kept this because it means a lot. You said, T-Bird, life is never meant to be an easy road. Most time it's tough, but pulling through grows a strong trunk, soul. See, if a tree has a drought year, it really helps to make it stronger. That layer of growth is thin, but very tough fiber. We are all just like a tree of life, end quote.
Oh, that's so true.
That's
so true. Teresa, I get down closer to you. I'm not going to be all that far from you. In the trucking world, you know that. We're going to hook up one day. Yeah, and we're going to share. And even though I'm not a drinker, I'll definitely share a glass of wine with you just because.
Excellent.
I love it. I love it. Okay,
Sue,
you guys.
Thank you so much. Okay.
Rob, thanks for being here and doing what you're doing.
Yes. So great to see you. I think it's been. I feel like the last time I really talked to you was, I think, 2005. I saw you they had like a Fox reality channel launch party, and it made my night that you were there, and so it's amazing to catch up with you.
It is. It's been a while. It's been a wild ride. You know, like Yeah, but thanks for filling me in on that. I didn't know I actually still hold the top spot. You guys all have the best of time with all your kids. And remember what I told you. Tell the kids. And Teresa, you do this too, that youngster. You figure it out.
You figure it out. All right.
Figure it out.
Sue Hawk, thank you so much.
Thank you guys. Been wonderful. Love you.
Love you.
Bye-bye.
All right, T-Bird, there you have it. There was Sue Hawk. How about that?
How about that? Where do you go from Sue Hawk? Where do you go from
I
Sue
don't
Hawk?
know. I don't know. Everybody okay? Everybody good,
Yeah.
doing good?
Yeah, so Rob, again, I thought about how badly I wanted Sue Hawk all these years, especially when I knew
How you feeling?
we had developed a friendship.
Yes.
But I enjoyed the friendship. She's very philosophical of everything she would write to me or text to me. And I thought she's such a fascinating,
Yeah.
deep,
One of a kind.
one of a kind. And so I was just grateful and blessed to have her friendship, that we had developed a friendship. When she mentioned about wanting to do the podcast, because I'd never mentioned it for quite a while, I never mentioned it again. I was thinking, this may be my retirement. Where do you go from Sue Hawk?
Mm-hmm.
However, if you'll keep me, we move on.
There's still more survivors out there, T-Bird.
Yes, there are.
Yeah.
Sue Hawk is again one of a kind. So
Yeah.
I hope her fans and the listeners will enjoy her as much as I.
And I think this was an unforgettable interview.
Yes.
T-Bird, all right. What else are you working on now?
I don't know. I've been so anxious in a good way about doing this, and I couldn't go past thinking, what's after this?
Yeah, this has been on the calendar for a while, so we'll figure out what's going to come up next.
Yes.
T-Bird, where can people keep up with you?
I think it's at T-Bird Cooper.
Yeah.
Any ideas, please text me, message me, and I'll get right on it. Again, like I told Rob, I like for us to find people that are off the grid, that people haven't seen or haven't heard from. Maybe people that aren't like Sue, that are kind of moving around from state to state periodically. Mm-hmm. We can find somebody a little more grounded, but if not, that's okay too.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for joining us, for talking with T-Bird. Take care, everybody. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.
This is RHAP. We know reality TV.